Let me get rid of this because I'm not going live on YouTube. There we go. Yep. So that's fine. Okay, so um, I'll answer your question to begin with. Do CME gaps always get filled? It doesn't, it's not a rule, right? There's no rule out there saying every time a CME gap comes in, it has to get filled, but the hit rate for CME gaps are very high. Okay, so I've not gone back and back tested enough to give you a percentage. There are some people who have done that, but the hit rate for CME gaps are very high, and that's because obviously leverage, right? Futures is going to be the one that's moving volume, right, for Bitcoin. When you see Bitcoin going parabolic, like it's going absolutely ridiculous, a huge portion of that isn't because of spot buys, but it's because of the futures coming in. Right, all of these, there's going to be a lot of futures-based movement. Right. Of course, there's going to be times in the market when spot is leading, and that is what you want to see for long-term adoption. But futures is always going to bring in more volume than just spot on its own. Okay, and obviously what CME does is it lets institutions, it lets big players come and trade futures. So what we're saying is CME gaps act as huge liquidity pockets, right? So if I go back to here and I go to BTC1, they act as huge liquidity pockets, right? Because obviously, since this is more centralized, they're trading in stock hours, right? So when the weekends are around, the bank holidays are up, when basically when the stock markets are closed, the CME is closed, right? But obviously we know crypto is a 24/7 market, so the discrepancy between the close and the open of CME and price of Bitcoin is what causes this, and then that makes it so that these gaps now act as liquidity voids, right? So if there's nowhere else to go, no obvious liquidity, this becomes a nice target for you to expect price to get drawn towards. It's not going to get filled every single time, right? If you could probably go back and see CME gaps that haven't been filled for a long time down over here, right? So there's no time frame within which a CME gap needs to get filled, right? No time frame at all, because for example, if you had any CME gaps down over here, I will go and take a look. There, right? This CME gap didn't fully get filled, right? This one down at 9665 to 9925, this one never fully got filled. You tapped the top and went, but more than 60-70% of this CME gap is still valid. But you can see the chances of this getting filled now are next to zero, right? Because I do not ever think we're going to see Bitcoin back at 9K in our lifetime. So there's no guarantee that CME gaps need to get filled, right? But if you see a CME gap again, what we're going to be doing is using them in confluence, right? If you see a CME gap and it lines up with your other forms of confluence such as support resistance, fibs, right, so on and so forth, then it becomes just an extra layer of confluence in terms of liquidity for you to then manage your risk, manage your entries, manage your thesis around that gap. Okay, so for example, look, even this one took ages to get filled, right? 2 years it took for this one to get filled. So I wouldn't wait just on CME gaps to enter or exit a trade, right? That's what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't just wait like, okay, there's a CME gap, I'm going to ignore everything else. I'm going to do my thesis based around the CME gap. But if it lines up in a logical manner with your other forms of TA, then yeah, definitely CME gaps are a very, very high hit rate. But yeah, there we go. Take this out. At what time frame are you seeing the 54K CME gap? Let me take a look. Because on the daily I don't see one, on the weekly I don't see one, on the 3-day I don't see one, on the 4 hours I do not see one. Oh, you mean this one here? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I mean there's one on the 4 hours, right? Which of course, obviously you can think of this like a liquidity pocket for that time frame. But if you go on to if you go to anything I consider significant for Bitcoin, right? And for Bitcoin, the significance is daily and above, especially weekly and above. There isn't any significant CME gaps to begin with. But secondly, it's like we'll go over Bitcoin now, and I'll bring this into conversation 1 second. So let's quickly look at Bitcoin itself, right? The actual index chart that I normally look at. Let me just add this to focus. Actually, there you go. A lot of new coins to go over today that I wouldn't have covered in the setup videos or the charts I shared in my channel. So let's get a move on. But if you take a look at what Bitcoin's currently doing, right? What we talked about last stream I did before I went on vacation, I couldn't do one last week. We said what's going to be important is the upcoming 3-month close, right? Which happened obviously last night. And we said, can the 3-month close ultimately, right? What you want to see is you want to see the 3-month close above the line in the sand was 58,787, right? Has that happened? Yes, right? The 3-month has closed above that 3-month low. The next thing we said was we want the 3-month to close above the 3-month mid. Did that happen? No, but it's completely fine, right? Because at the end of the day, the most important thing for long-term analysis was we close above 58,787. And again, if there's anyone in the stream that doesn't know why I've got these levels marked out, right? So I've already explained this a few times, but let me do it again just in case there's someone new to the stream. Previous cycle, right? This is just my own method, right? Obviously, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be calling this what I call this is a seller zone, right? And I call this a seller zone because I do not want to call it a supply zone, right? A supply zone is a strict liquidity pocket. It's a well-known concept. I'm not claiming for this to be like a well-known concept or anything, right? This is just something that I utilize myself. This is just my own lens through which I look at the market, right? So obviously not everyone's going to be using it. So I didn't call this a seller zone. A supply zone. I'm going to call this a seller zone instead. What this zone represents, okay, is you take a look here and here, right? You're going to take a look at a candle, and obviously higher time frame analysis, top down is always your best friend. Hence, I'm starting at the yearly. What is this candle telling us? Okay, this candle is telling us that price opened at 28,976, right? After price opened at 28,976, we got a drawdown to 27,741, right? But once that level was hit, right, for whatever reason, and there's loads of reasons, but just for now, for whatever reason, once that level was hit, we suddenly got an impulse all the way up to 68,997, right? So what we're saying is this candle is a candle where obviously buyers were in control, right? This is a green candle, huge green candle on the monthly. This is obviously a candle where buyers were in control. But even though this is a candle where buyers were in control, we have a segment within that candle where sellers, right, took control back from the buyers. You can see 168,997 was hit. We got a drawdown all the way to 46,195, right? So even though this is a candle where buyers were in control, sellers took control back from the buyers between 68,997 and 46,195, right? Hence, I'm going to call this a seller zone. This is now representing an area where sellers took control back from the buyers, right? And these three levels now, the 0, 0.5, and 1, right? These three, the range top, the range bottom, and the mid, you can think of them like your very confluential support resistance lines, right? All we've done is we've derived three different SR levels in a different manner. That's what we've done, right? But we haven't just looked at the price. We've actually looked at where have buyers and sellers been active, and then used that price action analysis to give ourselves well-defined levels. We've got three distinct levels here, right? So what we're saying is, if you want Bitcoin to now go and make new highs in the future, what you're going to have to do is firstly flip 46,195 into support, then flip 57,596 into support. Finally, you need to be getting above 68,997, right? And if you go onto the weekly, you can see what's happened. Well, we broke down obviously from the seller zone. Your initial reaction from the seller zone was a rejection before you went, right? Once you accepted into the seller zone, it was a run straight up to the top, right? Because that's what historical price action has shown us. Every time you get above this level, you have huge moves up towards the top side, right? So we're not surprised there, but what we see is we cannot get any sustained closes above 68,997. You grab the liquidity, you come back down. Where do you find support? 57,596, right? Very well defined support now. So find supports here. Rejection again, right? Look, support, recapture here as support again, right? If we go to the daily, you can see after we had that dump and we broke out, what did you do? You reconfirmed that mid as support, right? So again, you know, we've just derived levels that you can think of as very, very strong support and resistance, just in a completely different manner, right? So, you know, I do encourage every single one of you, like if you see the market in a certain way, pursue it, back test it, make sure it makes sense. But in my opinion, everyone should have their own little lens in which they should look at the market, right? This is just one of my lenses. But these become key areas, and what we're saying is, right, for Bitcoin to go parabolic now, we need to get above 68,997, right? So this has obviously been used to support multiple times. We can see the respect of that area, right? This hasn't been retested yet. If you can flip this into support now, we're saying, yeah, we're going to go parabolic. I would expect 100k plus Bitcoin, right? For this parabolic stage of the market. So that is what these levels are representing. So if I turn my key levels back on, hopefully, for those of you that are new, right? hang on, not these. These, you can see what that 6-month low, that 6-month mid, and that high is representing, right? You can call it the 12-month low as well, right? I just call it the 6 months because it's a slightly lower time frame. But I'm not actually saying it's the last 6-month low or anything like that. I'm saying this is the low, the mid, and the high of the seller zones, right? So you can keep doing this, right? You can do this with the 4 months, which I've already got. So what I'm going to do is just now show you them bit by bit. So previous cycle. So there's your 6 months. Sorry, where's it gone? Jesus Christ. One sec. 12 months. It's here. There we go. Move over here. That's lined up. Weekly. I get chart OCD, guys. I know I do this every stream, but really sorry about that. Right, let me just color this bright red. There. Okay. So that's your 6 months, right? The red one in red we just looked at. You guys know where that come from, and you can keep doing this for every time frame, right? So you go on the 4 months now, which is your obviously triannual. You can see this is the area, right, where sellers were in control, right? This is your seller zone. This is the area within which you have no candle body closes from the buyers, right, on this particular time frame. So again, that is what this is, right? And if I go back to my key levels, turn them on, that 4 month low, 4 month mid, and then obviously your high, that stays the same across all the different time frames. That is what that is representing. That's what I'm annotating, right? So you can do this, like I said, for the 6 months, the 4 months, and the 3 months. I'll just leave these 3 on for now, right? Because obviously these are your higher time frames. And you can do the 2 month and the monthly as well, right? You can do the weekly and so on and so forth, right? But I'm going to leave it on to the 3 months for now. And you know what? Let's leave the 2 months on as well, because that's where we're rejecting from currently. But once you do that, right? Once you go across the different time frames, you have a series of levels now that you've derived for each significant time frame, right? And what you're saying is you're just going to treat these like you would a support resistance, okay? When you read price action around these levels, when you do, if you were to look for entries, if you were to look for, where you're going to put your stop loss, so on and so forth, right? You're just going to be looking at these levels as support and resistance areas. But why the 3 month close now? Hopefully you guys understand why this 58787, right? Let me turn everything else off. Let me just leave the 3 month on for now. Why 58787 was so important for us to close over is because if you look at the quarterly now, the last time we were here, right? We're saying 58787 was, you didn't get any candle body closes above this level, right? Every time you tried to get above 58787, you were rejected and you closed below, right? Sellers didn't let buyers close any candle bodies within this area. None. You can see that once, twice, right? Down we go, try it again, close below, right? No candle body closes within this area. Therefore, what we're saying is the area from 58787 and above is an area where sellers are in utmost control, right? No questions asked. So when you get something like this then, which is when you now go and you close above and then you get this, what you're doing is you're saying you've got a breakout, right? That's your breakout out of 58787, 63 and 68. More than that, you've got a retest. Look what happened. Sellers tried to take price back below 58787, right? This was the first, this was the second quarter, right? Sellers, this is from April. Sellers tried to close price back below, right? They nuked it down, but look what happened. Even though price went below 58787, buyers bought it up and closed the price above 58787, right? That was one quarter. Last quarter, look what happened. Once again, sellers tried, we rejected 68k again, right? Sellers tried to close price below 58787 and sellers took price below on a lower time frame. But when the quarterly close came out to be, right, which is the important time frame here, based around this, because we're literally eyeing this around the quarterly. Once again, buyers closed the candle above that low, right? Meaning, think about this in terms of buyers versus sellers. What's going on? An area before where sellers were active over the buyers, right? An area where sellers were in control over the buyers. An area where supply was so much greater than demand, right? So much greater than demand that every time you try to come here, you got nuked so hard, right? An area where supply is greater than demand, an area where sellers are in clear control over the buyers, has now turned into an area where obviously we can see buyers are taking control of the sellers. And this is telling us that even though they tried to push the supply down here, all that supply got absorbed. The demand is greater than supply. You are seeing that narrative flip right in front of your eyes in terms of price action, right? Here, sellers are telling you, look, we're not going to let you go higher, but here, buyers are telling you, you can try to push us lower, but we're going to just eat that back up, right? That's what this is telling us. So that's why this quarterly close was so bullish. And what you're doing now, even though you close below the mid, is you're already pushing to get above the halfway point, right? So if we go on to the daily, for example, you're trying to get above the halfway point, right? And obviously, it's going to look much nicer if you do get above this. Otherwise, you do threaten going slightly lower, maybe, right? But that doesn't really matter at all, right? Why not? Because again, what were we talking about last stream? We were saying, what's the trend? High, low, lower high, lower lows, right? And we're saying to now confirm a trend shift, at the minimum, what you need to do is you need to go and take out 65,105. We've done that, right? After that, you simply need to put a higher low in, right? So for all you know, this could be the higher low. This could be some sort of vertical accumulation. You can get back above and go above, right? So you're going to be watching this 0.5 like a hawk now. But if that's not the case, then it doesn't matter, right? Because, well, what else do we have? We have, for example, a level that'd be nice, 61,359, right? That'd be a really nice level for you to make a higher low on, right? That is your monthly low, right? Monthly slash 2 month seller zone low. But if not, it doesn't really matter, right? You're holding the 4 month and the 3 month 0.5 here as support, right? You're holding that. So now you've taken, this is what you would call a change of character, right? You've break of structure right here. You've taken the highs, you're now simply looking for a higher low. Doesn't matter where it is, you're simply looking for a higher low. Once the higher low is put in, what you're saying from there is obviously you're broken out from the downtrend on the daily, and now there's a reason for you to be targeting 68k. Right, 71k, 72k. Take all these highs out, put another high low in, send it up. Something like that, right? But what's happening here is very bullish. So tying this back to the CME gap now, brother, there is no reason for you to be just blindly waiting for a 54k CME gap, right? And the reason for that is you have a lot of key levels below you. That are higher, right? There's a lot of key levels below you that are higher than 54k, right? So if I again turn this on, look, your 6 month mid, right? Your 4 month low and your 3 month low are between 58,787 and 57,596. These are going to be very, very key levels. Okay, it's going to take a hell of a nuke to just break this, especially after you've taken the last low, right? The last lower high. So there is no reason for you to be waiting for a 4-hour CME gap somewhere down at 54k, when now if you're taking the structure, the context into account, for now you have no reason to be expecting 54k, right? We've left it. So there is no reason for you to then be saying, okay, well, there's a CME gap of 54k. I'm going to avoid all the bullish signs we're seeing across different time frames. I'm just going to wait for this. Right now. That isn't enough confluence. Your probability of this playing out just because of this is very low now, right? You need a confluence stack. You just don't have that here. If you go and you start losing these levels, right, and then you do break down, retest this as resistance again, and you close below this, then yeah, sure, you could be saying 57k. Lose that, then sure, maybe you get that 54k, right? But obviously, you need that price action to play out before you even consider that, right? It's not like you're going to get a God candle, reverse God candle down to 54k to fill some CME gap to go higher, right? That's not likely at all. That's not something you can plan for, basically. But all in all, Bitcoin looks absolutely great here, right? It looks great. The 3 month close was fantastic. Now we just need to get above 63,892. That's all we're doing. The daily closes over 63,892, and you get like the 1 hour retest of it or something like that. I think we just go towards where? Again, we've got harmonic targets already presented. Firstly, 786 Gartley, 68,498. After that, the most bullish thing would be to take out 75,657, put in a high low around 68,997, somewhere around here, right? And then just send it up. So let me check back in chat. Yeah, it took us so long. It took us so long to shift back to bullish on the daily. But yeah, so that's BTC, guys. If you guys have any questions, just put it in chat. Otherwise, you don't need to overcomplicate it right now, right? You've got one important zone here, another one here, and then you have this. Right, on the higher time frame, that's what you're pinging for. So that's Bitcoin, right? Again, looks absolutely amazing. And from here on, we're just gonna move on to some alts. Okay, so did that answer your question, by the way, Don? Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, we'll take a look at Sol. We'll take a look at all of these. We'll go through it. Might be a slightly longer stream, but who cares, right? Right, okay, so let's go to ETH next, because ETH hasn't really done much, but our old spot buys from down here, right? The entries I gave all the way down here before we even got this breakout, they're still active. Look, they never got stopped out because the key levels are holding, right? I've just marked this down into something I like to call, again, this is my own take, key inflection areas. That's why I call them, right? You might see a couple people in chat talking about them. They got it from me. Right here, this is an area where basically I'm saying historical significance, right? That's all it is. Historical significance in terms of price action, in terms of where has buyers and sellers been active the most. Resistance, support, support, resistance, resistance, support, support again, right? As long as you hold 2282 to 2030 as support, there is no reason for you to be expecting lower, right? So this was your range low. What I've done is segmented the price into ranges. This is your range low. You've held the range low, so your obvious target now is towards the range mid, right? Again, the range mid is over here. That's where you're rejecting. You flip range mid, you're going back to range highs. Your range highs is this inflection area between R3 and R4, range 3 and range 4, right? Between 35.81 and 40.28. And next time you go up here, in my humble opinion, you probably make new highs on ETH, okay? The structure has remained bullish, right? So very, very simple on ETH, right? If you wanted to load up, these were levels given, like this was like 6, 7, 8 months ago now, right? Towards the start of this year. They're still valid, right? And our original spot buys, they're still intact. You know, nothing's been done with them. We trimmed some at the top, you know, and we're just waiting, right? Because your main targets are yet to come on ETH. You haven't even broken all-time highs yet, right? ETH against BTC still hasn't bottomed out, or is very close to bottoming out rather, if it hasn't already. So ETH will have its moment. Let me delete this, right? Let me take a look. ETH, so someone said Sol. Let's look at Sol, the big three right now, for sure. ETH, BTC, and Sol. So let me get rid of, actually, let me do this bit by bit so you guys don't get confused. Okay, we're just going to go higher time frame, work our way down, okay? Firstly, let's look at previous cycle seller zones. We obviously have one here. So on the higher time frame, what we're saying is the three key levels that you want Sol to recapture, if you want Sol at new all-time highs, is 169.94, 215, and 260. Okay, so this is based off the yearly, right? These are the three levels you want Sol to capture. So this was very much a front run of that 215 area. You can see us trying to use 169.94 as supports here, flip to resistance here, right? Back to support, and now you're creating this just ranging structure here, but you're still below 169.94, right? There's still work to be put in from the buyers on Solana, okay? Why have we been using this area as support? Right, you might have a question. Why around this level? Let me actually go back to the higher time frame and then we'll work our way down. So 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, right? There we go. What is this? Same concept, right? Same concept as this. This is the area on the 3 months, right? If you take a look, what happened here? Price opened here. Buyers tried to push up. As soon as it hit this, sellers took control back down, right? So we can get two different levels from this in the bearish side. Firstly, is this area here, area where sellers were in control. Secondly, is this area here, the total area where sellers were in control, right? We're going to put those two down here. If you again go to the weekly and take a look now, based on that, if you take a look at where did you put your high low in, that's 0.5, right? And then where has your range lows been coming in? That's 0 right there, right? That's 0 right there. What was that 0? That was the range low, again, on the 3 months of the candle body to the wick, right? The area between the wick top and the candle body where sellers took control, right? So the levels you get from this very significant. Like I said, you're literally treating them like support and resistances. Okay, there's nothing complicated about this. I've simply incorporated price action analysis into getting the actual levels, right? It's just a different take on SR, but ultimately you get the same, you know, key levels, right? But that's why this has been used as the range low, right? So we can go on the daily and we can see that clear as day right here. Range low, range low. Look at not a single candle body close below that seller zone low, which is very, very bullish. An area where sellers were once in control, right? On the 3 months, sellers were fully in control. No candle body closes above here. Now look, sellers try to close below that low of that. Buyers keep defending. They keep defending. Again, it's that same. What used to be an area where sellers were in control, buyers are in control now, right? It's that narrative flip from bearish to bullish happening right in front of your eyes, right? So obviously you're local resistance now on Sol, but again, this is compression, right? This keeps being hold. You're gonna break out eventually, because that what this is telling you is that supply here is running out, right? Look, people keep throwing supply into this area. Originally there was so much supply, buyers had to relent, right? You went down to a lower area where supply was lower, where the demand was enough to push you back up for a fresh leg, right? But then you come back down, and then all of a sudden, look, even though there was a rejection, now there's support, right? Now sellers can't close below. Once, twice, thrice, and this is on the weekly, right? 4 times, 5 times. Multiple different attempts to close below this area, right? But none successful. Meaning this telling you, look, supply in this area is running out, right? Every time you go here, the demand from the buyers is enough to absorb all that supply that the sellers are throwing onto the market, right? And you can't stay bearish when you see things like this happening. And again, our last Sol spot buys was at $70, right? I've not updated it because obviously I'm not taking profits here. I'm expecting Sol to make new highs sometime this cycle. So, I'll update this when I do finally close that bag, right? But even from our $70 average, it was somewhere around here we entered. Even currently speaking, we're still up more than 2x, right? Where price currently is 136%. Wait for this to go to new highs. I'm talking somewhere around $300 range, right? 400% up, that's when I'll, put in my channel, I'm selling some, right? I'm offloading. If I see daily weakness there, bearish divergence is building up, I'll open a head short for the next bear market, right? But nothing to do here. If anything, moments to add, right? Loads of moments to add. But Sol looks fantastic, right? It looks good. It's being held. The support that needed to be held, the area of resistance that has flipped to support, has been treated as such by the buyers, right? There's been no signs that there's weakness here. So let me leave this on now, right? And we'll just leave this on. So I'll leave this on as well. Yeah, actually, let's do this for now. That, yeah. So on the 12 months, that's how we got the red, right? This one here, we got on the 3 months. So let me just change the color of that to something like purple. On the 4 months, we don't have much going on in this area. We do have a seller zone on the 4 months here. There you go. Right there, that's your 4 month seller zone. Make that yellow. Again, all we're saying is candle, where obviously buyers were in control, but once 209 was hit, sellers took control in this particular area, right? So that's all I'm marking out in that yellow. So we've gone the 3 months, we've gone the 2 months, we've done the 3 month, 4 month, and the yearly, right? Last one I'll look at is something like the 2 months and the monthly. 2 month is fine. The monthly, anything? Okay. On the 2 months, last but not least, we're going to be looking at this area here. This is the area on the 2 months where we're saying, look, again, you haven't had any candle body closes above, right? There. So we're just going to mark that down as, I don't know, pink or something. There. So honestly, you could just trade based now around these levels, because these now become your, you can think of them like key SRs, right? And you don't need to worry about what's happening at random areas. Right? When you get to one of these key areas, you can analyze price action there. For example, when you got that breakout here, you would have waited for the retest. If the retest was successful at 143, right, there was your breakout, there was your successful retest, there was a long to be had right over here, like this, right? Stop loss below the retest wick low, and just, obviously take some off at a risk to reward you're happy with. For me, I always trim some at risk to reward of 3. After that, your next key areas, right over here, between 0.5 and 1. That's where I'll be looking. You flip that, you can add to your long, and you're going to run this towards 1, right? Towards these. That'd be your next targets of where you're going to watch for price action to tell you, okay, who's active, who's not, right? Which side has an edge. So if you get a visit back down on Sol, down towards these areas, right? And you see once again, exactly the same thing, buy staying active, you have a long to be had, right? Otherwise, our original $70 buys, they're going to go a long way in a few months, right? 5 months, 6 months time, and everything's popped off. We'll just take profits on those then, right? No hassle at all. But this is Sol. Sol looks great as well. Bam triggers. There's a butterfly pointing to 74k-ish as well on that level you pointed out. Do you ever chart market cap charts as well? Can you know the difference between Sol USDT and Sol? Oh, I've never really charted the actual market cap, bro. I know people do that a lot. I've never personally done it myself. I do market caps in terms of like USDT and like Bitcoin and your like totals, but never done like just market cap on its own. How'd you get the ticker up for that? You just type in Sol. Okay, one sec. Oh, okay, I see. So this is Sol in terms of market cap. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, no, I've never really done that. Never actually looked at the market cap itself. I'll definitely I'll play around with this, bro. Thanks. I've never really done it in terms of market cap. I've always just looked at the BTC pairing or the USDT pairing. Never actually looked at the actual market cap or individual coins. Let's take a look. Next explanations. Your sub Hannibal. 122.81 on Sol, right? So let's take a look. 122.81. I mean, to go back to 122.81, you're going to have to confirm that this is indeed just another lower high, right? So what we have here again is, we take a look what this is. On the weekly, you have an area where sellers were in control, right? We're saying that here. Let me just mark that out to the right. Look, candle, price opened here, and then obviously we went as high as 162 before closing 158, right? That's a weekly seller zone. Weeklies are normally color in blue. You confirm the validity of the weekly seller zone here, right? And again, if you're looking at weekly, let's say daily to 4-hour price action is what you'll be entering off. So you'd be tweaking this. If you saw any SFPs at these weekly areas, you'd be looking for shorts there, right? So we created it. Where did we create it? We created it here, and this is the reaction we're having. So if we're saying, if you want to go to these targets on Sol, right? Obviously, you're going to need to, on the daily, start flipping these three levels into support. 158, 160, and 162. Right? On the daily, you need to start flipping these into support. More than the daily, on the 1 hour, something like this, right? If you wanted to scalp, you could definitely scalp based on these levels. Right? You see SFPs, clear rejection from an area. Those are your triggers for your scalp entries, right? But for you to be targeting this, again, you'd need some sort of huge capitulation wick on BTC again. That's the only way. Otherwise, you have this key level, this key level, this key level, so there's no reason for this to just absolutely nuke down here unless BTC goes and takes out its range lows again, right? It's all correlated to Bitcoin at this stage. And there's no reason for Bitcoin to be doing that right now, right? There's no reason for Bitcoin to be going back towards 54k. If there's no reason for Bitcoin to be going back towards 54k, then there's no reason for Sol to be going back to 122.81. Okay. So that's Solana. Another one I want to talk about, Injective, right? This is the one I was saying, get some here, right? Every single stream I was saying, build some positions. Injective is currently up from our average. Yeah, 52.64%, right? Injective, this is good. Again, this is one of those projects I believe could go to triple digits in the peak of the bull, right? When we have huge capital inflowing into crypto as a whole. So Injective definitely looking nice. I do want to see a retest at some point, right, of this Gartley if possible. If not, it's what it is, right? We're positioned. If we get this, I'll simply size up even more, right? That'd be an amazing high low to put in here and then send it. But this is what we were talking about, guys. Okay, last stream I mentioned my laddering in strategy for those of you that were unfamiliar with it, because loads of people asking me, okay, how do you ladder in? Remember what I said, you have a percentage allocation for CMP, right? It's a key area. And the example I gave was 20, 40, 40, right? You don't have to do this. This is just nice to work around. 20% of CMP when you see something at key areas, right? 40% for DCAs and 40% for size ups. This 40% you're going to DCA with. When you get to, let's say you have a pullback to your deeper key areas, right? You're not going to limit. You can limit if you want. I don't limit myself personally, okay? Because I want price action confirmation behind every buy slash sell I do, right? If you limit, you might just be caught in a capitulation wick that liquidates you before price does what it wants you to do anyway, which is why I just don't limit. If I limit with reduced size, right? I always leave some to add based on the actual confirmation itself. But you're going to leave some to, like, let's say you drop down to your key support that's lower and you see buy stepping in there, you have a reason to then start deploying your allocation from this 40%, right? Because that's what DCAs. This last 40% is for when you shift your trend. What did you do here? Last lower high, here's your breakout, here's your retest, right? You would now be starting to allocate your cash allocation from this 40% into here, right? You don't have to do it all at once, right? You can, again, split this into like 10% clips or something. But when you see the lows being taken out, and if you get, let's say you're getting successful retests, right? Allocate a little bit in. If you get a pullback, doesn't matter, because once you put the higher low in, that is your confirmation. The last lower high has been taken out. You put a higher low in, you're probably on the buy side now, not on the sell side, right? You're on the right side of the V. Allocate more of that 40% in, right? But that's how you properly position for swings and longs, right? Because this way, think about it logically, right? You've got a starter position, and obviously you're not going to be doing this blindly. I'm not going to, me in my right mind cannot tell you right now, go and market long inch, okay? Because me doing so is putting your financials in jeopardy right now. Because yes, inch could carry off from here. But remember, the reason I give, entries when I do these streams, I say, look, this is a good time to enter, isn't because, we look like we can go up really high from here, but it's because if I am wrong, then the risk to me and to you if you take the call is minimal, okay? It's not about how much higher can your project goes, it's not about how many X's you can pull off. It's about, if you are wrong, how much of your portfolio are you losing, okay? If you are enter here now and you are wrong, look, injective can drop back all the way to $16. It's going to be perfectly fine, okay? There would be nothing to worry about because you've taken out the last lower high, right? So that's your break of structure, and you're just waiting, your change of character, right? You're just waiting for the high low. $16, if you got it, would still be a valid high low again, right? Because look, you'd have a support, deviation, back to support. Price action wise, it'd be beautiful. But you entering here, you'd be down how much? Like, well, basically 50%, right? Yeah, you'd be down 30%, sorry, but still, that's a lot, right? So I cannot now, in good conscience, tell you, yes, it's still okay to go and just market along your entire inch bag right here, right? And this is also, I've been getting so many DMs saying, do you have any spot plays? Is there any good coins? I released the whole 3-hour video where I went over like 30, 40 different coins, which are all actionable areas when it mattered, okay? I cannot help you if the coin has then pumped 50-60%, which pretty much every single one of those coins from the Harmonic setup video did, okay? I cannot now help you to look for entries once something's already pumped that much, okay? Because there's no good way to manage risk. You're gonna have to go on the lower time frame and try to scalp this and hope you catch the next leg up, right? If you want to manage risk appropriately, you're not doing that in a swing fashion here. You could argue, yeah, you can get in and still DCA, yeah, you can do that, right? But now your risk is much higher, right? You're gonna have to go in with a reduced position size here, leave more for DCAs because you're trying to absorb a 30-40% down move, right? It's just not advisable. Your risk is hard to manage here. And you could also do something like put your stop loss below this, but now this becomes a high probability stop loss, okay? What that means is, even though it looks like you've got a good risk to reward trade, let's say you were to market long right now for spot and you say, if it goes below, I'll just exit, cool. Okay, that's fine, but the probability of you chopping back down to this level is high, right? So even though it looks like a good risk to reward trade, the probability of your stops being hit is high. If the probability of your stops being hit is high, why take the trade in the first place, right? So now you're going to areas where it's like, well, it's going to be harder for you to manage, right? It's not too late. There's many, there's coins still in actionable areas. If you're willing to hold through the red, should you get any more downturns, you can start building a position on this. But you can go back, watch the recordings, right? We were talking about this. I was saying we're building positions on inch from here, okay, from here. I cannot help you if you're looking for entries here now, because I wouldn't enter here personally, right? So I can't tell you to take a trade I'm not going to take. Yeah, Inge looks amazing, brother. This one, I've got high hopes for this one. Originally, we caught this. I had a bag on this from like literally January of 2023, right? 120. Got a huge move on this one, so just looking to compound that all the way up here again. triple digits in my opinion is very possible for this. But that's Inge. Let's look at Aptos, another one, right? Again, when we were talking about Aptos, where was it? Let's go back to early September. It was down here, right? From here, we have had a 57% pump, right? I once again cannot now advise you to just blindly buy here. You have two choices for Aptos, right? If you get a pullback towards $7.31, right, a retest of this breakout, you can start your buy program, your personal buy program from that. Or if you see a flip of 0.5, $8.45 into support, get in on that with your stop loss, either below your retest wick close, or with you considering this range here to be your DCA range. Okay. But currently where it is, I would not advise market longing this, nor would I advise market shorting this. Right. You could have an argument for market short. You could be like, okay, well, your risk to reward at least is somewhat good, right? Something like this. Hang on, what is going on? Settings. There we go. That's better. So your risk to reward at least 3. Maybe, right? Maybe you could get away with having a little head short here. But honestly, like, if something looks like it's about to break out, it's having a reaction of the lows, I just wouldn't be looking for shorts, right? Doesn't seem very clever. Look at the structure you had here on Aptos, right? For example, what's this? Let me just zoom in. Right here. You have a left shoulder, you have a head, you have a right shoulder, right? You have your breakout, you've had your retest. So there's no reason to be expecting for lower now, right? So honestly, like, if you somehow managed to see, like, if you were somehow like just looking at the charts when this retest was happening and you managed to get in, that was probably a good entry, right? Because now the only entry you're going to get is if you get a clean flip of $8.45. Okay. But that's Aptos. Yeah, this is the importance of, taking risks when is the time to do so, right? This was the time to take your risks. This now becomes more risky to you, right? Sure, on the grand scheme of things, if you zoom out, if you think Aptos is going back towards $20, it's not a bad area. And I'm not saying you're too late, right? For example, the retest here was another good entry, right? But now, the higher you buy, obviously, you got to understand, the further your meaningful stop loss will be, right? So it's just going to be harder and harder and harder and harder for you to even have a reason to be in a trade. Vanry, another one we're talking about, look, 886, right? Macro bats here. Yeah, it's a deep extension, but I don't care, right? The macro 886 is what I'm playing this off of. It's a 300% extension, whatever. We were talking about Vanry from like down here, right? 47% up again. And the reason I've not updated these is because, look guys, I'm not here to take profits on Vanry over 47%. When I say swing, I mean swing, right? You guys remember 2023. I'm going to be, after you hit your 2x, your 3x, your 4x, right? That is when I'm going to be offloading, distributing. I'm not going to distribute at a 47% pump, okay? I don't need that cash. I'm just building a position for the bigger picture now. But again, on Vanry, what you're saying is, if you want to go higher, let me just get rid of this first and get rid of this, right? Firstly, you need to get above this target here, right? Again, weekly seller zone, confirmation of the weekly seller zone. So you need to firstly flip 0.1095 into support, then 1142, then 1189. Once you do that, you have an argument for reaching 14 cents area, right? And more than that, on the weekly, you also have a weekly buy zone right over there, right? Which is what this is. So let me just extend this to the right as well. It's going to look a bit confusing in terms of being overlapped, so I'm just going to go on a lower time frame and zoom in, right? Between 1095 and 1198, right? That is your range. That is going to, for now, act as resistance, okay? You go flip that into support, right? You're going to have a really nice entry opportunity on Vanry again. That's if you get the retest. There's no guarantees of a retest. Sometimes once something picks up steam, it just goes, right? But should you get that retest, that's going to be a beautiful entry opportunity on Vanry somewhere within this zone. Okay, to size up on. I'll be sizing up personally myself if we get that. You'll also have taken out the last lower high, right? So still waiting for that trend shift on Vanry. But Vanry is another one, right, long term. So wait for the flip here or wait for a deeper pullback. Basically, that's what we're saying, right? No market longs. You don't currently seeing not many ultra areas where I would recommend market longing them. Okay, look for the ones which haven't really moved off the lows, right? Look for the laggers and go for those if you're looking to enter thresholds. Vanry isn't one of them right now. Okay, you are at resistance. You are risking buying during a moment of potential downturn again, right? You could go back to 9 cents. You're not going to be surprised if that happens. Vanry will look completely fine. Nothing will have changed. Vanry could come down back to 7 cents. Nothing will have changed. Okay, you're just going to say you've completed the harmonic and you're ranging. Eventually, you break out the range, right? Nothing would have changed. So that's why, unless you get this flip, I wouldn't re-add. Okay, or I wouldn't buy rather. Buy in if you're not already in. Either you flip and enter, or you come down. And for many coins, this is all I'm going to be saying right now, right? Because look, when we were originally talking about this, it was literally get in on some here, leave some for DCAs and leave some for trend shifts, because that was the area to start building your positions. This is not an area to blindly build a position. Okay, you're at major resistance. A retest isn't always a fact, Mr. V. You're not always gonna get a retest, but more often than not, you will get a retest, right? And that's the most basic yet the most powerful form of confirmation play that I give, is the breakout retest or the breakdown retest, because in terms of buyers versus sellers, supply versus demand, it speaks volumes, right? Vanry, so Ondo's another one, right? Again, when were we looking at Ondo? We were looking at Ondo early September, so let's go around the 5th to the 2nd, right over here. Right, when we're at this 4-month buy zone, we were saying, look, Ondo's at a good place. It's up 53%. Right? Why? Because look, what happened? We had the 4-month close, right? Remember, last month was the 4-month close. And then after that 4-month close, we had this buy zone put in yellow, right? So let me get rid of this blue one for now. This yellow is showing you the area, even though this is a seller controlled candle, that is the area where buyers took control back from the sellers, right? And then we said, okay, well, look, if you get a retest into these areas and it's successful, you bid Ondo. What happened? The new month opened, right? And look, if you go to the daily, you got the retest right over here, right? Retest, another successful retest, closes above. That is where we entered, right? This was an entry trigger right over here. And now, once again, I cannot in good conscience tell you to buy Ondo here. Right? If you're thinking years in the future, you think this is going to be like $10 at some point, then it would make sense if you have that time frame in mind, right? 10 years down the line or something, or 6 years down the line. But for most of you who are going to be looking for just this cycle, or even especially leverage traders, there's no entry to be had here for a long now, right? Look what you did. You've taken out the last lower high. So you're now looking for a higher low. But if this confirms as resistance again, you actually have a short in your hands that could potentially take you lower once more, right? Because you're saying, look, resistance, resistance, liquidity rate. If you confirm this as resistance again, that's typical price action. You're going to go lower, okay? So maybe watch for that instead. Or you wait for the flip of this and then you enter, okay? Again, no entries to be had right now. I'm sorry, if you are looking for entries, but got to understand the entries were given when it was the time to do so. Right, it's hard for me to give entries here now. And it's not just me, it's going to be hard for any analyst who's worth a damn to be given entries here, right? Because if any analyst is telling you to go market long this right now, you should be calling them out, saying, well, why would I? You're at resistance, right? You're resistance. You could come down and you could have a deeper pullback before going up, right? There's no confirmation now that, you've broken out of this level. There's no confirmation yet. So there shouldn't be any fresh longs in Ondo, right? Not until you flip this. You flip this, sure, you can look for longs, right? It's going to be easy for you to manage your risk around on the lower time frame, and it's going to be easy for you to manage your risk around retest wick close, and you aim for your next leg up, so on and so forth, right? Aim for the B, for the C, for the A, so on and so forth. But as we speak, there is no long to be had, okay? And I'm not going to give you like super lower time frame calls. The only long potentially has already happened, which is the retest of this, right? And how would you play something like this? There's your breakout, there's your retest, here's your confirmation. As soon as the confirmation opens green, put your stop loss below the retest wick low. In this case, you target the mid and the top, right? That's how I would have played this particular thing. If you get back to this and you get another successful retest, sure, you can take a long. But as we speak right now, it wouldn't be advisable for you to long, right? Look, you could go for something like this, Sure. But you're already off the lows, firstly, right? And your first TP target is a risk to reward of 1.8. That to me is not worth it. Okay, so you entering here is only going to be worth it if you're planning to TP somewhere around 82 cents now on Ondo, right? But understand your stops could get hit before you get the 82-cent target. It was much easier down here, right? You could have already trimmed some. You could have sized up huge because your stops weren't that far away. And this is why I always harp on about significant levels. Right, every Twitter post I make, every stream I do, I say learn to find significant levels. You could have a million lines on your screen. Okay, if they aren't significant, it does not matter. Significant levels is where you're going to reach significant price action. That's where you're going to make your most informed plays. Okay. But again, that's Ondo. Flip for entry, otherwise wait for a pullback. Like I'm going to keep saying this for many coins now, right? AVAX. We talked about AVAX so much, right? We are up 50%. And would you look at that? Where are we rejecting off? The seller zone high, right? $30.89. That's where we've had a perfect wick to for now. 50% move off the lows. I cannot, again, in good faith, tell you to buy AVAX, okay? Either flip 30.89 into supports, right? Again, either we wait for this now, or you wait for a pullback down towards these areas. One of two scenarios, okay? No fresh longs to be held on AVAX, currently speaking. You are now under resistance, okay? Say, my beautiful say, you just front ran T1 from where we were looking at this, right? We were looking at this from where we were looking at this. We are up 107.32% at its peak. Okay, that's a 2x. I trimmed some. I will recompound this if we ever flip T1, ever flip B. Okay, or I'm gonna wait for a pullback. Again, what are you struggling against right now? If you go on to, firstly, the 4 months, right? If you go on to the 4 months, let me just zoom in. What is this, right? Buyer control candle, price opened at 0.06, whatever this is, went all the way up to 48 cents before dropping down to 13.22, right? This is on the 4 months. That is your seller zone, okay? On the 3 months, even lower, right? From 12 cents, again, to 48 cents, that's your seller zone. So immediately, you know where this two, and this two is coming from, right? Key levels. And it's just a mixture of that. So this area here, example, is a seller zone from history. You broke out, you retested once, you lost it, treated it back as resistance, you've broken out, not had a retest on the weekly, right? So now, if you get a pullback down towards these areas on say again, it is a huge blessing, right? Especially considering we now have a fresh seller zone here like this, right? Huge blessing. I'd look to size up here if I get this, or if you're looking for fresh entries, I'd do it somewhere around here, right? Look for price action around these areas. If not, and you keep staying above 48 cents, honestly, you might just melt up to T2, right? Because Swede didn't give you a big pullback, right? But this is say, we are up 2x on this, first 2x out the list. Whiff, we are up 77% from our entries, right? Again, around here's when we looked at whiff, we said, look, completed Gartley, go back to the video, look at it, it was all there, right? It's on YouTube for anyone to scrutinize, look at, see if I'm chatting shit, see if I'm making stuff up. It's not, right? It's there, recorded in 4K, on YouTube, public, for everyone to see. We said, this is the area you want to be getting into with, right? Look, you rated the 5-day fair value gap mid, you held your 4-month buyer zones down, your weekly buyer zones down, everything that you needed to hold was held. Your demand line was held. You consolidated above, right? So when you get this, you enter some, and now we are up 81%. Where to? This is T1. This is your first harmonic target, right? For this Gartley, this is T1. Again, no fresh entries to be had on with, right? I cannot give you entries here. You either flip this, and sure, you'll now have a reason to enter, or you get a pullback down. Who knows? Maybe to $1.96 or $1. What is this? 86. Around $1.96, right? Maybe to somewhere down there. Maybe somewhere to these areas, right? To this zone. Doesn't matter. You'd be looking for a higher low now, right? Your last lower high has been taken out, but there's no guarantee you're going to get this pullback. You could just keep ripping up to your next harmonic target, right? Once things go parabolic, hardly do you ever get your ideal pullbacks. Market makers want you to firm them in at inappropriate prices, right? That's how it drives bags up higher for them. But whiff is up 81%, right? And again, this was called live so many times, right? Multiple weeks, it was at this, and I was saying, look, whiff looks good, whiff looks good. 81% up. Let me quickly check her chat just in case there's more. What was this say? Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't see that deep crab actually. Nice one. Yeah, that is clean. I didn't see that deep crab, bro. T2 of that, yeah? 618. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I hope we get that pullback. Okay, Sats, this one hasn't really moved much, but hey, look, the last lower high has been taken out. You're trending up, okay? You're trending up. You're going to be looking for your weekly to daily um, price action to strategize your risk if this is something you want in on, okay? Sadly, we did not catch this one at the lows, right? By the time I drew this out, it was somewhere around here, and it's been just there ever since. But as long as you do not close below 29,511, 29,5119, right? As long as you do not close below this, you have a reason to be in this trade, okay? For spot, it's actually very simple. I basically say if you get below 25,4189, I'd just close it, okay? If you get below this, I'd close it. If you wanted a spot entry on this one, and this would be a DCA range over here. You can see lines up very, very nicely with historical price action. So SATS is a lagging BRC20 token that, look, you've broken out of your downtrend, okay? You've cleared out your last lower high. You're looking to just simply put your to higher low in, okay? Especially for spot, this is still playable, okay? Let's say again 20% as CMP, you have 19-20%, let's say, to worry about with 40% of your DCAs, and actually you could leave 50% for DCAs, right, and 30% for sizing up on trend shift, because the trend is already shifted. We're just waiting for the higher low, right? But SAT is another one you can manage your risk on for now, okay? This one hasn't really moved off that much from when we last looked at it. Rats, on the other hand, now, how many of you remember me talking about this so many times? Rats, look, how many times I said, look at this God perfect AB equals CD at the weekly demand zone, right? 4-month and the weekly buyer zones held. What you get off that? 115% pump. This is the second 2x of the cause we got into, okay? 115% from the entries we looked at it down over here. It was literally textbook perfection. AB equals CD, right? 786 to 886 is here. Your reciprocal ratio 113 to 272 is down here. The Harmonic lined up with actual liquidity. There was a weekly demand zone over here, right? More than that, we had the 4-month. We looked at the quarterly close again, right? Which is right here. And then we said, look, once you get into the quarterly close, and if you ever retest the 0.5, the 0, or even flip the 1, you can look for your entries, right? What did we do? What did we do? We came down. Look at the amount of times we flirted with that 0.5, right? Right over here. Here. And then flip the 1 as well. Right? The weekly 1 got flipped. And now you're up 115%. Right? You've taken out your last couple lower highs. You're in the trend shift phase. Look, you're looking for the higher low to be put in now. This could be it, right? It could be a bit deeper, or this could be it. But once that happens, you're going to go higher, right? These are early signs you might be going from the sell side to the buy side on rats, okay? The target, again, very accurate, right? The same area we were looking at on history. And if you're looking for entry here now, right, you would enter. It's going to be harder for you to manage your risk, right? So this is why I hate giving entries once something's pumped, because now, look how easy it was to manage your risk here, right? You get below this wick, you cut. I cannot give you an easy way to manage your risk here, because this can come down all the way to here. This can come down all the way to here, right? Anywhere within this zone, as long as you put a higher low in, you're fine, right? That would be a higher low, you're going to go higher. So it's just very, very hard to give you a meaningful stop loss at these areas now, right? But you're breaking out the downtrend, right? This is something I'm expecting now. And just take it back up to the 786, 886, right? Imagine the scenes if that happens. That is going to be a 6-7x, right? If you go to all-time high, 7.5x, let's say. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, right? That's moon boy behavior. But yeah, this is another one, right? Say and Rats, two different projects that I've done, 2x's, I've trimmed profits on, okay? Because if it does a 2x, take it initial out at least, right? Even if you don't take initial out, take out 25%, something like that, to recompound on, because you get plenty of opportunity to size up. Doge, take it out, its last lower high, right? And look at this, what did it do? This is the kind of thing you're looking for, right? You are currently getting that trend shift right in front of your eyes, okay? Lower high, taken out, flipped it to support here. Again, where we'll be talking about Doge, early September, somewhere around here. We are up 48.39%. Right, these are going to go much higher. Look, you had two different Gartleys lining up in this area to a monthly demand zone, right? Again, what is this? This is a retest of the 4-month buy zone mid that we put in the last 4-month close. These are just the reactions of that, right? But if this retest is successful on Doge, you might actually get a nice opportunity to try for something like this, okay? I'd wait for that daily close, or let's say in the 4 hours, right? The 4 hours might give you a retap of this area. But if the daily closes above, you could just ladder your bids in through the 1 hour, 4 hour, and the daily. Like do your final big add when the daily closes above. If it doesn't, just don't add anything. But you could get something like this, an opportunity for something like this on Doge. Should you flip this / close this above the daily, right? Because this is looking like a successful retest so far. I'll be very interested to see. I feel like this week is going to be choppy, and the reason I'm saying that is because obviously we just had the quarterly close, right? And if there's a weekly still open by the time the quarterly or the 4-month close, we see what happened last 4-month close. The 4-month close great, but the weekly nuked right before we went back up, just to manipulate a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we did get some manipulation this week, but all in all, that is an entry you could potentially take, right? Wait for the daily to close before you allocate fully. 4-hour close above to allocate some, right under the 4-hour close above to allocate some. By the time the daily closes, fully allocate. Something like that is a very valid strategy. LDO, we are up how much from our low? We literally talked about this at the bottom, okay? LDO is up 58%, okay, from when we talked about this. If you get a retest now of 1.1835 and it's successful, that is where I would look to re-add. Currently you are again on a weekly seller zone right over here. You're currently trying to flip the mid, which is bullish, okay? But if the mid isn't flipped, then it's going to go lower. If the mid is flipped, you could run the highs once more. Okay, you might be able to get a scalp off on this. But the daily isn't really looking nice right now, is it? So, but yeah, that's LDO. So you can see what I mean. With many of these coins up this much, right? Look, average has been literally 60%, right? With many of these coins up this much, I can't now tell you to buy 60% higher from where I bought it. Because if we get a 40% dump, I'm still happy. I'm fine. You're going to be stressing out, right? You're going to be screaming. You're going to be mad at me. Like, oh, damn, 40%. You're a shit analyst. All of this, all of that. When I'm still chilling on my original buys, that's still up 20%. I cannot tell you to buy here, right? So I can only give you triggers. If you flip this weekly zone on LDO and you're looking for an entry still on this one, that would be my next entry, okay? If you close above the mid, for example, here, right? And I'd look for this on the daily, right? If you close above the mid on the daily, so on and so forth, size some up. If you close above this top here, 130.17, size up some more, you're probably going to run to T1, right? But until you get that flip or the pullback, I wouldn't blindly enter here now, okay? You add resistance. That's the thing, you add resistance. OP. Another one. That hasn't actually moved much since we talked about this. Only 50%, but still, hey, that's half a 2x, right? 52% here. You've not taken out your last lower high. I wouldn't really I don't know whether to class these as lower highs. You've already flipped that. This is the one I'd be watching, right? There's a liquidity pocket up here. You've hit it. You've not taken it out yet, right? No trend shift yet. So you're going to get, if you're not in on OPA, it doesn't really matter, right? If you get a deeper pullback again, 170, 160, right? Any of these levels, it's going to be a bid for me, right? Or flip this. If you flip that, you're in a really nice position to run towards $3 really fast, okay? But again, look, below resistance now, right? Not much I can do in terms of giving you guys long entries here. Below resistance. This is where you enter, right? This is where you can manage your risk. This is where sentiment's dog shit. No one's talking about it. That is the prime time to enter. You see how much sentiment's changed even since, like, start of September to now, right? Everyone was bearish down here. Now all of a sudden, timeline is so damn bullish, right? But OP, again, are key targets. TIA, another one we looked at. Again, it's taken out the last lower high. We're just waiting for it to put in a higher low, confirm a higher low rather. There's no confirmation of a bottoming structure on this move down yet. But again, for TIA, we are up 76%, right, from where we entered. Now, again, you simply wait for a higher low, or you wait for a flip of this if you want to be a bit safer. It's up to you, right? You'll be able to manage your risk both ways. What you don't do is blindly enter here again, right? Because this is the middle of nowhere right now. Nothing significant to be had here in terms of price action or key level correlations. But yeah, there's so many of these, right? Many of these alts have just been, you know, moving up from our original entries, right? There's some that haven't moved up much that you can still enter on. So for example, something like ENS, that's went up 35%, not much compared to the others, right? And currently it's only up about 15% from where we looked at it originally. So, you know, if you get back towards this $18 level, $17 level, sure, it makes sense to enter, right? You enter here. And then you target these. GFI, another one, on Coinbase, that's literally not really moved from where we last looked at this, okay? We looked at this here. It's only up about 35%, right? It's still hanging around. Not many coins are doing this right now. It's still hanging around. It's quarterly, no, triannual close. This was your triannual close. Then you went to do the retest of the buyer zone. And you confirmed successfully over here, right, that the buyer zone has been retested. So if you wanted to enter this as a trade, you could have your stop loss below here. You could have it below here. You could have it below here. You could have it below here, or you could have it below here. 5 different options depending on your risk tolerance, right? But those 5 different options warrant different TP targets for your risk to reward to make sense. But GFI is at an area where you could manage your risk. One could definitely manage their risk, right? The fact that you've now above this means that your most logical, but the most logical way to do this would be something like this, right? You say, look, I'm going to enter here, right? Again, 20% of CMP, let's say. I'm going to leave 40% to DCA down towards here, right? Maximum to the mid, right? I'm only going to DCA at these local areas. So for example, this buyer zone, right? Here's a buyer zone. There. You're only going to DCA, you know, you're going to set limits for this area. You're only going to DCA if you see price go there and you see buy stepping in. If you don't see buy stepping in, screw the DCA, you'll be able to get a lower DCA, right? And if you then start closing below these areas, right, you start closing below, you're just going to cut your position. Okay, you've not allocated fully. You've not allocated fully, right? Your 40% for trend shift is still remaining, and if you don't limit, you might not even be caught in that liquidation wick. So all you're risking is your 20% CMP, right? It's going to be more effort on your part, right? Because you're going to have to be active. You're going to have to look at the charts. You're going to have to manage your emotions, keep them in check. You're going to have to be patient, but the reward will be worth it, right? This is one that is still at manageable areas, okay? GFI, let's look at XRP. Oh Lord, how many people were here hating on XRP? We were saying, look, the M shape is there, right? For XRP, the M shape is there. The liquidity bias is there. Look, demand line, demand line, demand line, demand line, right? That's there. You have the structure. Even though XRP hasn't been an outperformer, this is clearly something someone has been buying up over time, right? You've literally indicating the supply has been running out at the lower level since 2017, right? And now this looks really, really good, right? In my opinion, XRP looks good. Many people say XRP doesn't look good, but if you just zoom out, right? You look at this on the 4-month perspective, you look at this on the 3-month, 2-month, even the yearly perspective. What about this doesn't look good, right? You're literally grinding up every single year. You're not going to be surprised. I'll keep repeating this, okay? You are not going to be surprised if you one day wake up to actually see XRP get a god pump, okay? And I will stand by this, okay? I know many people hate on XRP, but the structure there is, you can't fade this structure, right? You can't. Fading the structure that's been built over years, right? Over years, someone is telling you, I'm buying this, and you still fade it. That's you just turning a blind eye to it, right? Like, you have no one but yourself to blame if you actually miss out on the run. Especially when you were looking at this at, again, risk manager area is like 37 cents. Link. I'm not gonna go through all of them, guys, because like it's gonna be such a long stream if I literally go and update all of these, right? It's gonna be a very, very long stream. So I'm just gonna, go over some. I'll go over some new coins that I haven't put in the last video and I haven't shared on Twitter or thingy yet that I see have good completed structures, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll look a link again from where we were looking at it, which is at the 4-month retest of the 0.5 of the buy zone. We're up 35%, right? So let's take a look at some of these. Tau, Aave, Doge, VRA. We'll take a look at those. Let me just go through some of these real. I'm just going to space bar real quick, okay? Rune, T1 hit, okay? T1 hits on Rune. We were looking at this around here. 61% pump. Not 61 at the peak, it's 65% pump. This one hasn't really moved, but it was still a nice impulse, right? 3ULL, this gaming project. I'm looking at this way before, no, somewhere around, we're looking at this around here. 103%, this was under the 2x, if anyone actually got into this. Sui, oh my lord, so beautiful, look at this. Sui is up. When we were looking at it, we were looking at around here. Sui is up 146.21% from when we were talking about it, saying, look, you're flipping your key level 0 and your range extremes. This is a good time. You've taken your lower high out, you've hit T1, you're coming down. Good area to try and manage your risk on Sui, right? We're up 141%. You went back to T1, went to T2, flipped T2, now you're going higher, right? Look, your next target is $2.18. There is nothing apart from, intermediary levels. For example, you do have a seller zone there, just in case they decide we don't want to go to 218 yet. You do have a seller zone here, right? Like this. You can see key inflection area, key historical area, also key in terms of where sellers were active before. That's where you're propping up against. I cannot tell you to buy Sui here, right? I cannot tell you. I'll be literally selling to you if I were to telling you to buy Sui here. You got one final target, right? You flip this, you got one final target of 218. You flip that, it's all-time highs, literally. And this is the power of M shapes, right? And Sui obviously has been a narrative leader right now, which is why this is the one that's obviously been popping up, right? Its BTC pairing was strong. This was obviously one that caught the narrative. Once proper old season starts, there's going to be many coins following suit just like this, okay? You're going to see me update so many just M shapes hitting one target after another. And look, this is literally T1 to T2 here on Sui. God perfect godly, right? 786, 1.618, 618. So you're not going to be surprised, right? Now, what do you even do for this, right? On the monthly, maybe you get some sort of pullback. If you get some sort of pullback by God's miracle towards $1.15 again, that would be an amazing buying opportunity. I honestly don't know if you get that, okay? There's just no point looking at Sui now, okay? Unless just set some alerts up for deeper levels, and then if you get those by God's will, then pull the trigger. Otherwise, you missed this boat, right? Admit it, you missed this boat, look for something else. No point staring at the Sui chart now, right? Take this as a use case to learn from. Completed M shape at key areas, holding trend, 4-month buyer zone held, 4-month buyer zone, 12-month seller zone, right? Look, 12-month seller zone. What is this? Areas where sellers were active on the 12 months. What did you do? Look where you flipped before you went higher. The halfway point of that. Just trying to show this because some of you might be sat there thinking, oh, what's this guy talking about, creating his own style? But hey, it works. I've done a lot of back testing with this, right? Key area to key area. Your next key area is here. It's going to happen. So, that's Sui. And again, guys, there's so many. Example of that GMX, right? Look, 886 is not really moved off the lows. It's so easy to manage your risk here. Like I talked about last stream, for coins that are this close to the low, you're going to pivot your stops around the last discernible swing low, okay? For that being $17.57 on GMX, right? You could enter some as CMP. You could DCA at this range if you see buyers being active. If you don't see buyers being active, just don't DCA. Very easy. You'll only take a hit on that 20%. You enter the CMP. If you get there and you see buyers being active, right? You wick down, but then buyers are closing the candles above. You would then start DCAing here. And you wait for the last lower high to get taken out, right? T1 hits. You get the flip. That is where you add your last final position size. You're fully allocated. Write this up sometime in the future, right? GMX is one where you can still very easily manage your risk, guys, right? That's one right there, look. Very, very easy on GMX to manage your risk here. DCA range, you close below this, that's your stops, right? You close below this line, you get below this structure, and you actually close candles below, not just the wick, okay? I don't get out on wicks, closes below, failure to reclaim, so on and so forth. I ladder out. Even the T2 is worth it, okay? To extremes is definitely worth it. GMX is one where you can manage your risk. Toshi, another one we've been looking at, right? As under the meme category. Look, from where we were looking at it, it's up 283%. This is the first one that's done more than a 2x, right? This is nearly a 283%. Well, you do the calculations yourselves. Very big move on this one. Has already happened. And look, it's got gas in the tank, okay? It has got gas in the tank. Talked about XMR. Look at this accumulation structure, okay? Like I said, this is the reason I told you guys, don't buy yet on XMR, right? Because you will add resistance. You're getting a fat rejection of resistance for now. But from these areas, right, it becomes easy to manage your risk for spot, right, or very low leverage swing. Okay. Because as long as you're above that one now, you're above this range high, right? As long as you're above that range, you're gonna go back up towards this area. Eventually, you will flip this, where you would add some, right? And your DCA range, very simple. If you get below the Gartley 786 and you close below, you cut. Okay. You only DCA at these levels if you see buy stepping in. Otherwise, your 20% is what you ride with, either until the flip or the deeper levels get hit. XMR, still one. I still believe this, right? As long as obviously you don't go and lose the accumulation structure, which you haven't done yet, so there's no reason for me to be bearish. It reminds me just of Link. That's literally what Link was doing before it broke out. This is a pretty much perfect Gartley. Of course, like I said, that 618 is in context, right? But hey, look, as long as it's being respected, you can't ask for much. XMR looks amazing. This, look guys, Trias, right? Look, Shark 1.618 is literally just below you, right? No entries on this one yet. Shark 1.618 is just below you. If you decide to go for this 1.13 some point in the future, right? Let's say for whatever reason Trias absolutely nukes down to these areas again. This is going to be a god amazing buy. I don't know if we get this cycle. Probably not, right? We might get it next cycle or something. 0.584 on Trias. But for now, right? Look, you're at the 0.5 of what, right? If I go on to what time frame is this? Let me take a look. Okay, I know what this is. This is on the 3 months, on the 4 months. This area right here is an area both where you can see sellers have been active and buyers have been active, right? So this is an area obviously where we see buyers are willing to take action. You're at the midway point of the set level, right? If you wanted to get into a altcoin, Trias is one where you could enter again 20% SCMP. You get to that Shark 1.618, that's your first zone where if you see buyers, you're going to DCA. You get below that, you could either cut, right? You can either choose to cut or you wait to DCA more, add 2.52, right? Again, if buyers step in, right? If you don't have any closes above, don't DCA, right? And if you get below this, there's no point holding, just cut. You get candle body closes below $2.52, just cut. Very easy to manage your risk here, right? Because your potential upside is, well, if I turn the harmonics back on, right? Oh, where's the harmonic gone? Here, I've got it to the Shark, but obviously the 886 is down over here, right? Your first logical target is the B point, $9.20. So let's say you go with this setup, and obviously like if you DCA properly, your entry is going to be way lower, right? The average. But even as we stand, that is risk to reward wise, I believe that is going to be worth it. Let me just make sure. Here. Right, 4.34, more than worth it. So that's the alt you can get into. Now, how much you choose to allocate into an altcoin is up to you, right? I would never recommend someone go into a low cap or a mid cap and allocate the entire ports there. You know, high caps obviously are going to be the ones that benefit the most from the early rotations. So you want to, you know, put that into account as well. But coins like this, right? Coins like Trias, coins like Theta, again, from our entry on this that we were talking about, right over here, retest. We are off 47%, T1's here, B's here, T2's here, right? for some of these coins, they pop too much for you to really have any sort of edge. For coins like this, Harmony 1, look, it's not really gone up, right? Your 886 is here, you're chopping about. If you get any sort of pullbacks to this area, or even if you wanted to enter CMP, it's easy to manage your risk here now, right? Your DCA range is going to be anywhere between, let's say, here to the bottom here. There. You get here, you ladder in. Remember, only your allocation. You leave some for when the actual trend shifts, and only ladder in as well if buy step in. Right? You see those liquidity grabs, but candle body closes above your key level, so on and so forth. But Harmony 1, that's another one, right? We've got FTM, absolute banger, right? This is literally the trade we were looking at, right? Look, you closed above, confirmations above, you enter. Stop loss below this. We are currently at a risk to reward of 6.25, right? TC is 9.82. That is, for us, from my entry, it's 85% pump on FTM, right? All off, again, a godly, right? You've got a completed M shape. You had that head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulder structure going, right? COTI at resistance, no entries on this. You either flip to add, or you wait for those deeper pullbacks towards this area to add, okay, on COTI. Did you take the last lower high outs on COTI? Let me check. Yes, you did. Okay, it's small, but it's there. So that is a change of character. So you're just waiting for the high low now, okay? ADA, another one we were looking at, guys. Look, M shape at your key areas. Where were we looking at it? We were looking at it over here. You're up 37%. You're up against the 0.5, right? If you're looking for fresh entries now, again, either wait for the pullback towards this zone, right, where you can manage your risk down to your range extremes, or wait for a flip of this here now. Okay, you flip that 3989 into support. Your next target is 0.5. After that, you've got your B pretty much, and after that, maybe you run up towards 88.6, $1.47. But ADA, you know, I know it's not really been that well performing, but it's still one of those early dinos, right? I could definitely catch some bids here. Those structures there, if you can manage your risk, you take the shot. Anchor, another one where we completed the M shape and we had a nice reaction off it. Looking at it here, 51% pump, right? The last lower high, if you count that to be one, did get taken out. Or if you're looking for re-additions, two things you can do. Either flip this, or if this retest is successful here at this seller zone, you bid some here, right? Manage your entries around this now if you missed that bottom. Again, you're looking for successful closes above the mid, ideally, okay? That would be a successful retest. You get below, you can just cut. You've lost the thesis for being in this trade, and just wait for this lower area to enter here. There. But guys, so many coins, right? Look, I could keep going on. I'm not going to take up too much of your times. 886, right? We had a, from where we were looking at it, early September, 40% pump on Uni, right? You get a drop back to a $7 and 7.038, you add, right? Otherwise, you wait for the flip of $7.74 now. Very, very simple. Woo. Again, look, what did you do? You rated the lows, right? We were talking about this. The shark rated the lows, right? The 1.618 marked right over here. You went slightly lower, of course. And from where we talked about it, let's go to September. We are up 67%. Right, so the actual entry was saying, look, if you are above the shark and if you're above the zero, that is where you add, right? So let's say your average would be somewhere around here, 57%, right? But still not too shabby. And now, once again, where are you? At resistance. What is this? This is a weekly order block. You have completely filled the weekly order block, right? For fresh entries, you either go and you flip this into supports, or you need to have a pullback towards this weekly breakout level now. Only two ways I would consider re-adding Wu. Otherwise, just move on. Sushi, another one that raided. You had a very, very nice raid, right? Look what Sushi did. Again, raid with a shark, raided the all-time lows, right? And then when we were looking at it from here, we have a 75% pump to our range extreme of 1, right here, right? Again, I cannot tell you to buy Sushi now, but you get a pullback towards the 0.5, right? Towards this supply zone here, and it's successful. Then you can now start if you already got in here and you trim some sizing up, or if you look for fresh entries, look so around this area here. 1 inch. This is now one where, again, not that far from its entry. So if you wanted to get into a low risk play, 1 inch is one. Okay, it's not really had that much of a move up. Again, for coins like this, you're just pivoting your stops below this. Okay, you get below this, you cut. You leave room for DCA down to that area. You leave DCA again for a trend flip, and you enter some as CMP if you wanted to get into 1 inch. OGN, another one which hasn't really moved. Look, you're literally still above, just like the other one we're looking at. I forgot which one it was. You're still above your 4 month, your last quarterly, not quarterly, sorry, your last triannual buy zone. Right, look, buy zone. You front run the 0.5 for the retest, you're above the 1. As long as you're above the 1, you're saying area where buys were active are still in an area where buys are being active, right? Let's say this daily closes above, you'll have a reason to get into a trade. Right? This zone is just what you manage your risk around, right? You could literally, if you wanted to have a really tight risk, you can manage it around the 886, right? Obviously, the tighter your stops, the more difficult it's going to be for you to actually keep your position open. So for swings, I definitely recommend going wider over tighter, as long as it's not left the key area, right? This key area being the fact there's a 4 month buy zone there, and the 886 of the bat is also over here. If you have a 40% impulse from here, you're no longer going to buy and be like, I'm going to DCA down to that area, right? That no longer makes sense. You enter at your key area, not after the reaction from your key area. But yeah, guys, so many, right? There's a lot. ALCX still, completed shark, right? Still around the areas we were looking at. Gaffy, still around the areas we were looking at, right? SPA, still around the areas we were looking at. S Fund, now this one has actually had a nice pump. You're going to flip the range extreme 1 here now, right? You've taken out your last lower high by the looks of things. Yeah, your daily. I don't know. I would actually call this the lower high. You're at resistance either way. So I wouldn't blindly open S Fund longs here or buy S Fund here. But you have flipped the 1, right? So if this flip is successful on the 3-day, for example, or the daily, then you have a reason to actually at least have a feeler position open, right? And if you get below again, just cut it. And on that feeler position, you can size up should you flip this. You're going to run to B and then to this one here. 2 easy targets. But again, we were talking about this, down here, right? We were talking about this down here. 72%. XAVA. Another one that you could definitely manage your risk on here, guys. You have the Sharks 886 and the 1.618 here. Right, if you get this back into this box, right, basically, this is where I would be DCAing in, right? The top, the mid, and the bottom should buy strength come in. A little position as CMP, like let's say 20%, 40%, 40% for trend flip. Basava, XAVA, how do you say this? Sava, Sava, yeah. Not really moved. Mina, another one where look what you've done. We were saying the flip of this Shark 886 is what you get in on. We haven't on the 3-day got a clean flip yet. What about on the daily? No clean flip on the daily, right? So there hasn't been a entry on Mina yet. The entry would be at the flip of this in this particular case, right? Not a flip of the 886. If people got in, it's because of the flip of that. So if you come back down and you do actually get a flip of this zone now, that's very bullish on Mina, right? You have a demand zone there that's formed. You're reconfirming your 886 and your 1.618 extension as support, and that'd be a lovely place for you to size up on Mina or add some more, right? If you're already in some. But yeah, that's Mina. Boba, another shit coin. This one hasn't really moved. We were looking at this one down over here, but I said, look, the entries, if you want to save entries, if you actually flip the BAT 886 and the 2.618, right? You've not flipped it yet. You're trying to do so. You're having a very harsh rejection of your seller zone on the 6 months, I believe that is. Yeah, 6 month seller zone right here, right? You can see that. Very harsh rejection of the 6 month seller zone for now. So if you get a pullback down towards this, between this 886 or 2.618, something like that, it's a low risk buy, right? Boba is a low risk buy. Look what happened to this last time it caught bids. 3 weeks is all it took for it to go from around that level to 470% up, right? Nearly a 5x in just 3 weeks. So once the bids come, they come quick. Okay, that's what you want to be positioned for. Metis, another one that's not really moved, but one I would definitely recommend if you're looking for an alt to consider. Metis, in my opinion, will do well this bull run. 463, 886, 2.862, right? 489. Shark 2.618, and you have your Shark 886. I think I meant to put bat here, right? This is a bat. I'm pretty sure I meant to put a bat here, unless I have another harmonic. Oh, okay, yeah. So Shark and a bat, both of them are lining up in this area, right? That's basically it. So in terms of harmonics, a lot of confluence. Flip. If you come back down to retest this area now, right? That's your trigger to size up / enter on Metis if you haven't already done so. Okay. Look, you've taken the last lower high out. You're just looking for the high low. Once again, look, Metis has got legs. Okay, this has got legs. Look what happened to this last time you broke above this area. It didn't take that long for you to pump without stopping 485%. Right, that's the power of these alts. That's why you want to be positioned before to catch these moves up. But that's Metis. Another one you can definitely manage your risks on. Okay. Let's keep looking. Let's see. T-loss. Yeah, what to say? This one was the entry. If we were looking at this down here, we were saying, look, if you flip the 1 and the 0.5, you're probably not going to go back down to the Garley. You flip the 1 and the 0.5 right here. Your entry was right over here. 52% up on this. I didn't take this personally, right? Just because I gave all these different setups doesn't mean I took all of them. Okay, guys? This was literally me just showing you guys how many coins are actionable areas and giving you the freedom of choice, right? You want this particular project. Right, you like the look at this, you don't know what it does, go quick 5-minute research. What does it do? You like the sound of it, put it in your port. Right, everything was literally laid out. ONG, another one that's at manageable areas here. Right, look, it's compressing, and now it's what's the word I'm thinking of? Not, it looks like accumulation, but it's sort of just ranging. That's the word, right? Ranging. Here is currently literally at range mid. If you want to again have some entries on this, you're gonna DCA down towards the 886, and if you close below the D, right below the extreme low, you just cut this, right? But another one here on OMG, right? T fuel. Some of these absolute shitters are still at areas where you can manage your risk. Vthos, right? I'm gonna go a bit quicker through these now, guys. So you guys, by now, you guys know what I mean when I say ladder in, right? You're looking for CMP areas, you're looking for DCA areas, and then you're looking for trend shift to do your final DCA. The ratio is completely up to you. Dream Machine token. Who remembers the hype behind this? Look from when we were looking at it, which is right over here, 106% under the 2x. Right? Next. There's so many. Cetus, this is another outperformer. I meant to mention this. Look, from the areas we were looking at it, which is, okay, you broke above the 786, and then you got the retest, right over here, the retest of this breakout, right? From there, the retest is nearly a 3x, right? 168% pump. So, once the harmonic structures play out, they play out really, really well, right? So now if you're looking for entries on Cetus, you're going to be looking for that retest of the C point. Like, there's no entries to be had here. Right, there's none. Look for the retest of the C point. But yeah, there's still so many. Let's look at Rio. Right, look, Rio up 97% from where we were looking at it. Right, it's over here. Literally 97% up. You've hit T1. No entries to be had here, right? Until you flip T1, no entries to be had. You've hit T1. Your next target is going to be T2. Right, Rio. Basically a 2x on Rio here. And there's literally so many, right, guys? There's so many. I'm not going to go through all of them. Like I said, I've wasted enough of your time. Some more I remember are low risk areas. Magic, right? I've talked about this before. Look at that 1.13 Shark. It's an 87886 on the trend-based fib extension, right? It's a very, very key area. Weekly demand zone. It's held. It's not had much of a reaction. Okay, you can still manage your risks on something like Magic if you wanted to enter this, right? Especially if you go and you now see a flip of this area, right? You could wait for either a pullback, something like this, a high-low sort of structure to be formed, or you wait for a flip of this, right? But either way, Magic has got legs, okay? If this flips, this is going to go back towards this, right? $1.07, that's where I'd be looking. In my opinion, this would be a target, right? Supply line again. But this, there's still many coins, big time. Look, what's happening? You have an 886. You have this perfect 2.618, 886, right? You have this bat, right? You have a bat here. You broke out from the bats, and now you're trying to retest the bats, right? If this weekly retest on big time is successful, you have a entry on your hands. Okay, not yet, because he hasn't finished the retest yet. And you could try go for 3-day retest if you want to slightly front run the weekly retest, right? But look, you're at range lows. If you now go and do something like this, you have a very, very nice entry on big time in your hands, okay? Grind down, break up, put a high low in, boom. Reclaim that 886 and the 2.618 off the bat from history. Chili's is another one I remember that hasn't really moved, but look what you have. You have a shark, right, 1.13. You have a 6-month fair value gap mid. If I go into the 6 months, it's right over here. Wick low, wick high, right? 6-month fair value gap. You've raided the mid, and now you're trying to react off it. Any high lows you see over here, right? So probably again around this area, right over here. Any high lows in this area, you're gonna bid this, right? Because it's easy for you to manage your risk. You can either manage it around this box, you can go in for a wider DCA, put it below this low, right? This low at 449, or you can manage it around the 1.13, right? You get below this 1.13 of the shark, you cut. But either way, you have a shark, you have a type 2, and if the type 2 is successful, you're expecting something like this. So even from that C, let's say down to there, to there, to there, right? 886. There's a shark back up, right? You had a shark down, you have a shark back up, right? So you've obviously got B for TPs. If you flip B, you'd be targeting 27 cents, potentially a 332% move up, right, over time. But yeah, guys, Gala, another one, right? Gaming tokens, still look where it is, 886. If you, as long as you're above the 886, like you're at areas where you can manage risk so well, right? Another one, Gala. So not every coin has pumped, right? IMX, obviously we've got a 68% move up from where we were looking at it, which is again that 786, 618 of the Gartley, right? Over here, we were looking at this retest of the Gartley, 68% up. If you now successfully retest the 618, right, which is here, you retest that 618 into supports, right? You confirm again. You can do this on the daily, you can do this on 3-day, your choice. But as long as you're closing above here on your higher time frames, I think you get your next leg up to C. Your downtrend has been shifted, right? You've broken the downtrend. You're just confirming a high low. The high low could come in here. The high low could come in slightly lower over here. Or the high low could come in even lower over here, right? Obviously, we don't know that. We're just going to react to what price action tells us. But you pay attention to IMX, okay? You've only missed the first leg up if you've done this, right? The C of the harmonic, the A of the harmonic is still there, okay? If you flip the A at any point, you could go much higher. So pay attention to these that are actually showing strength. If you have a question about how do I know which coin to go for, go through the coins that I've said and look for the ones that have already shifted structure on the weekly. The ones that have shifted structure on the higher time frame are the ones that you want to be prioritizing, okay? They're going to put the higher lows in before the ones that haven't even broken out the downtrend yet. And they're going to catch a bit sooner. Prime, another one, right? A bat, 111% move up from where we were looking at it. 2x. We've got loads. Right? We've actually got loads. That's that. I'm just gonna go through some of these now. Arbitrum, another one, right? Look, you broke your last lower high. So now you're simply looking for a higher low to be put in. Again, if you get back down towards 55.98, amazing place to add some arb, okay? Because look where you are. Zoom out. Have some perspective. Look where you are. And if ARB runs, the setup we're looking at GMX, that's going to run as well. So you're going to get a double whammy. Get into some ARB, get into some GMX, right? If ARB runs, GMX is going to run because GMX is under ARB. It's the exact same reason why we see Cetus, the one we just looked at, doing 168%, okay? This is the layer 2 on SWE. SWE ran hard, therefore the layer 2 on SWE is going to run hard. If ARB runs hard, then the DEX on ARB, which is GMX, is going to run just as hard, okay? But that's WLD. That's another one I gave last time. I know a few people took this. They were tagging me in PNL. Well, one person was. I know some of the people took it too. They've not shared their PNLs. But WLTB had a nice reaction, right, from our entry here. 69% up. Now you're just looking for the higher low. Structure shifted, right? Look, 1.618, you get that, you get a higher low, you just re-add. Right? If you compounded some, you compound, right? Or you look for fresh longs here. You could be putting in, some really nice macro bottoms here, right? Auction, again, it's not really moved from where we were looking at it, right? You get back down towards this box, beautiful place to add some of this. You have a Gartley, 786, 618, right? You have a Gartley, 1.618, no, 1.5, sorry, in there. But for now, let's look over some new coins, and then I'll also go over some of the coins that guys put in the chat. IOTX, the first one, right? So these, all the ones marked in blue are the ones I've not shared, okay? The ones I've found more recently to have a completed M shape and not shared on Twitter or my channel. So first one is this one right here, IOTX. Now, for those of you that were here from last year, you know this is one of the calls I gave, right? I was in Unity when I gave this, but I literally did long the bottom for this. We caught a really nice 600% move on this one. And it was a nice swing, leverage. So let's just see if we can re-up, right? We have a Gartley 601, basically a 618, right? 1.618 and a 782. So the Gartley 618 and the 786 is right over here. You put a double bottom in, you're broken out. What have you done? You've shifted structure. Your last lower high has been taken out, right? And you're attempting to put a higher low in. If the daily or the 3-day close very bullish, right? Especially on the weekly, right? Especially on the weekly. If they close above, yeah, it'd be amazing if we got a retest into this zone. Okay, that's what I was waiting for. You've got a front run for now, which you can take this bullishly because you could say, oh, the demand is so strong that, you know, buyers aren't even letting sellers come down to test this area. You're not going to know until we close the candle, right? But as long as you are now above this area, you have put in a valid high low. Okay, and you know you could come down to here, still be a valid high low, but more importantly, as long as you hold this zone, it's a beautiful area, right? Whether it's slightly above or whether it's in this zone, to add some IOTX, because you've shifted you've shifted structure on the weekly, on the daily, right? You're now looking for legs high. You've had a breakout. You've got a completed M shape. You're now looking for a breakout. C and A, two very, very nice targets, right? B's already been taken. B's right over here, right? That's what you're rejecting off of. So you could just say, okay, if you flip B, you'll size up some there. You could open some CMP, leave DCAs down for this zone, and then if you flip the B, the trend shift allocation goes into there, right? 20, 40, 40. You could do 10, 50, 40, whatever you want, right? Of whatever allocation ratio you want. Just have one for trend shift, or rather flips of key areas. Have one for DCAs and have one for CMP, okay? But the first one, IOTX, okay? This looks good. I did not catch this breakout here, sadly. I only noticed this after they've broken out. Originally, I had a bad painted on this, right? I was looking at it in terms of this Harmonic originally. I completely missed the Gartley. I was looking at it again. I was like, oh, damn. I think there's a Gartley there, and there was. I was really mad. But it's what it is, right? So we do have a Gartley here. So you flip the B or get down lower. CMP, small entry. This is one that shifted structure on the weekly. So this is one that could have legs, right? IOTX. Lie, this is one that Grossari mentioned had harmonics. I went and looked at them, and it does. It has a lot of harmonics, right? Macro BAT 886, BAT 886, another BAT 886, BAT 2.618, another 2.618 for multiple different BATs. This entire zone is an area where there's multiple harmonic ratios lining up, okay? And what did we do? We broke up here. So what you're saying is basically, if you keep staying above this, okay, the BAT 2.618 and the BAT 886, there's no reason for you to be expecting lower. If you do get a raid towards here, that'd be my ad before reclaim and higher. But again, this is another one that has taken out its lower highs, right? And I did catch this. I did not give this as a call because I was just on vacation when I caught this one. But you've taken out the last lower highs. You've again shifted structure. You're literally waiting for the higher low to be put in, right? You're waiting for the higher low to be put in, and this is a lovely area for it to do so. So this is not a nice candle on the daily, for sure, right? So I'd perhaps be a bit more patient to see what kind of reaction you get from here. But definitely have this one in your watch list. I don't know if Grossari is still in the stream, but he's the one who sent me that one in DM to say check it out. And yeah, it's definitely nice. BTC flash crash. Let's take a look. Oh, yes, there we go. Yeah, well, you've lost that zone, haven't we? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at it in terms of order flow as well. 1 second. Where is it? Here. BTC. Oh, dear. That is not nice. Question is, do we actually break structure here, or do we hold this and just go back above? But so like I said, guys, if since we've lost this level, the next area to watch for, apart from your local supports, is we have one at 61k, right? Here, 61,357. See what happens there. If it's not for 61,357, then obviously we have the 3-month low, the 4-month low down here as well. So we'll see what happens, but just know the last lower high has been taken out, right? So we're just waiting to see, yeah, what goes on here now. Do we lose this? Do we go here? Just set some alerts up and take a look. But anyway, there we go. BTC. Oh, that's a lot of market sells. Jesus Christ. That is a lot of market sells. You're creating new TPO territories. You're losing your VALs. Yeah, that's not nice. That's not nice at all. Okay, anyway, let's go through some of the coins again. So we looked at Root, another one. This is a gaming project. Okay, this one has a 886 on the BAT, right? The BAT isn't official because you've gone way past this 2.618, but I don't care. It's a 300% extension. Importantly, it's a macro 886, right? And also, if you use the Cypher tool, it's a Cypher Shark. 1.618, 886, right? So Cypher Shark as well. Very, very key area. So basically what you're saying is, right, if we go to the 3-day, we do have a liquidity pocket there, albeit a shit one. If you get any sort of visits back to this area, right, back to this liquidity pocket, it would be a nice area to try and get some root. Okay, 886. If you get a rates below, just don't enter, right? But root is one where, you know, it's going to be easy to manage your risks. Look, Atom. Now this one I really want to talk about because Atom has some very, very nice structure I noticed. Okay, I literally looked at this last night. Firstly, from X, A, B, C, D, what is that? 886, 2.25852, that is a macro bat. Okay, in terms of harmonics, that is a macro bat. The macro bat went to a monthly demand zone, right over here. That is a monthly demand zone. That's where the macro bat went to. So it has liquidity on its side as well, right? On top of that, what you also have now is a potential AMD model, right? A PO3. Okay, you have your accumulation happening over here, right? This you can take as manipulation, right? Obviously, we don't know when this is over. We only know when this is over when you get the confirmation of you going into distribution. But if you ever go and reclaim that 886 into support, right, on a significant time scale and you build above, I honestly think you'll be in the distribution phase for Atom. I think you go back towards 16 first, and if you get past that, towards the C of this harmonic. Here. So Atom, basically, line in the sand is, when you reclaim the BAT 886 at 5.193, what you're projecting off of right now, right? I think you could have a really, really nice run up on Atom on your hands. And to be honest, you can think of this like, look, left shoulder, head, you could put a right shoulder in somewhere around here, right? That could be a nice area to try re-add some Atom, or rather add into some Atom, size up on the flip, right? And then size up again upon more confirmations and just ride it. But Atom's another one. I could definitely have this one in your watch list, guys. Atom, definitely put this one in your watch list. Because around that 886 level, you know, you can get some really nice entries on this if you flip that 886 into support. Key, this is another one I noticed just the other day, right? 618, 786, there is a Gartley on this. Again, this is a nuanced Gartley, but it's a Gartley nonetheless in my opinion. So any sort of pullback towards 4730, right? This is the box I would DCA in. You lose that structure, you cut it, right? If you lose that structure, I'll just cut it. Mavia, another one where we have let's take a look, zoom in. We had a Gartley in the past, then we've also put in an 886, right? So you have a Shark 886 here, you have a Shark 2.24 just below if you want to go lower. But as long as you're above this 886, Mavia, you're going to go higher. Okay, you're going to go high. As long as you're above this, your first target is here, old Gartley 786, which lines up with a 2-day order block. You flip that into support, you're going to go to B, then to this B, right? Those would be your main targets, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So many of these you can still see at actionable areas, right? Not another one, 786, 618. This is a Gartley, right? This is very much a Gartley. And what you're doing is you've taken out the last lower high right over here, right? This is an area where you're trying to put a higher low in. If that is successful, this is the area you enter CMP on, and this is the range you DCA on, right? If that is not successful, you just wait and you wait to enter back at this range again. But, you know, if this does bottom out over here, you're going to go higher, okay? AR, R-Weave, if you take a look at this one, it has two massive macro harmonics, right? You've got a macro Gartley, macro BAT 2.618 and a macro BAT 886, all within these 3 lines. Just like AVAX, right? You put in the structure, you chop below, and then all of a sudden you go up, and now you've come down to reclaim. This is exactly what AVAX did, right? It's doing rather. So, as long as you're above the 786 of that macro godly, I think you're going to go higher, right? So you've not shifted a structure yet, as in you're still in a downtrend. Your last lower high was here. But if you come down here now, back towards the macro godly 786, or even towards the 618, even better. If you ever get this box for a retest, this is something to add, okay? First around the 786, flip of this or this. 3 different areas to watch for entries. NMR, numeraire, however you say that. You have 2 different sharks here. You can see 1, 2, right? 886 is in this area. You've hit resistance for now, but you're trying to make a high low in this nice little area here, right? So you could, NMR is literally something you could enter. You can enter this, and you can have a DCA range down towards these lows. If you get below this, just cut it, right? You close below this, buyers don't manage to close above. When you rate this, you cut it, right? 20% CMP, 40% DCA, 40% trend shift, right? That's your DCA allocation. DYDX, take a look. What is this? On a 1.13, right? 1.13. That is a shark, right? That is very much a shark. Your shark 1.13 is right over here. What we're saying is, look, if you can go and reclaim that shark 1.13 into supports, right? If you can go and reclaim that into supports, more importantly, you could also line this up with a shark 2.24, right? The 2.24 of the shark is right over here. There you go. Let me just go to settings, coordinates. That's this one right here. Put this down over here. There you go. This is the zone that you need to flip on DYDX to go higher, right? You can see key support. You're literally at the lows. As soon as you see a flip of 1.13, I'll start my buy program. Okay. You see a successful flip of the 1.13, get above, I'd start my buy program. Flip 2.24, you add more. You take a last lower high out when you do that as well, right? You start entering at 1.13. If you get lower from there, you can either cut from the 20% or you can give yourself this as the DCA range, right? Very tight DCA range. 20% CMP, 40% DCA, 40% on trend shift again, right? But DYDX, look at it's very, very low risk areas. You have a completed shark. And you do have, I'm trying to see if there's other on this. So for example, what about if we went from macro low to here to here? So you can that is a shark. No, one sec. Yeah, that is a shark. That right there, right? You have another macro shark right here. I can't believe I didn't see that the first time around. Jesus, what's wrong with me? Yeah, you have another macro shark right over here. So let's just find the 1.618, right? Let's just find the 1.618 of this shark. There, right? Settings, coordinates. We're looking for, is it going to be, yeah, it's going to be a new low, so we're looking for that one. Okay, and then we're just going to take a ray, take the ray, put the ray down, go onto the coordinates, paste it in. That is going to be, no, I've taken the wrong one, haven't I? One sec, that's going to be the shark 1.618, and that's the macro shark. Let me just, one sec, sorry guys, let me find the proper coordinates for this one. Coordinates, it's this one here. There we go, perfect, there. So, like you could literally enter at CMP, right? DCA down to this area. If you see buyers stepping in, you DCA, if not, you don't, right? It's as simple as that. I wouldn't set limits. Personally, I don't set limits. And your last DCA is going to be when you eventually go take out the lower high, put in a higher low. When the higher low structure comes in, just DCA with that. You're fully allocated at the lows, and you have legs. Again, you have legs, right? Serious legs. On a macro, your B point, and let me actually make this a zone. So you have your B to your low, basically, right? Your exchange listing low. That would be my first target right over here. And from there is your ATC. ATC is your next target, right there. So you have two different harmonics completing in this area, guys, right? Again, DYDX, another one, look, this hasn't moved, okay? You could definitely manage your risk very well on this one. SNX, another one that is at macro range lows, 1.161, right? This is a shark again, right? This is a shark. And you have another one over here. Look, you have a macro shark, 886, 1.618 and 2.506. You have a macro shark in this area as well. Right, a very, very macro shark in this area. Which is why that shark 886 is there, right? And you have another shark down at this range low here. So you have two M shapes around this general area, right? M shape consolidation, which led to another M shape, which led to a raid of liquidity, right? In context, look, here's your low. Raid of the liquidity has been attempted. If you go back and you test 1.44 as support, I would start layering into SNX, right? You could do so right now, to be honest. Again, here's your DCA range, right? DCA on signs of strength, and then you would just wait for your trend shift to do your final allocation, and that's it. SNX, another one where it's at such low areas is crazy, right? Very, very low areas for SNX. Band, another one. You have a macro shark. You also have, hang on, you did have another shark here as well, where it says shark 1.618 and shark 886, right? So again, what you're saying is right here, right? Your range lows on band, very easy. Look, if you want to enter, you enter here. You just, if you get below 0.984, you cut, right? If you get below 0.984, and actually I would make this a box. So you get below this range here. There you go. You get below the 0.984 to 0.887. You start closing below here, easy, cut your position, right? You can enter some as CMP. You can say I'm only going to DCA should you get towards the lower half of this area or whatever, or your next DCA is going to be you size up entirely when you get that confirmed trend shift, right? And you have taken out your last lower high. Right, your last lower high has been taken out. So you're just waiting for the high low now, right? So I don't know if you go down double bottom or you go make a high low, but there's nothing wrong with managing risks around these areas for something like band, okay? And again, you're not gonna, if you do enter these, don't enter this with size, guys, right? This is just to try and catch some, if you have some quick cash, you're trying to compound it, just go into projects like this, right? Because your bulk of your cash you want in projects that have narratives, projects that are actually doing well. At the end of the day, this is, you can see it's not performed at all, right? There's no point sizing up big on this one. SHX, Stronghold Tether, another one with a completed Gartley, 618, 1.384, right? You've hit your liquidity pockets here. You've reclaimed the Gartley, you're trying to move up, right? You've not taken out your lower high, but I'm saying if you come back down towards this area, right? This is a bid because now you've completed a Gartley, right? You've taken out liquidity. And then you'd be looking for higher, not lower anymore. There's not many reasons why this should go lower, but there's many reasons in terms of liquidity why it should go higher now, right? So HHX 0.003426 is your level to watch for, right? This area here, this zone here, that's your level to watch for. Let me just mark it out for you guys. See what happens when you get down to this area, right here. This is where I'd consider adding some. Axle, another one where you have a completed 886. This is a bat, right? And you're currently trying to go here. Again, another one where you can so easily manage your risk, right? Just take a look. 8-day, 5-day, this is a demand zone, right? You have a demand zone down here. You could enter CMP, honestly, DCA down to the demand zone. If you start closing below this, right, losing the wick, you just cut, very simple, and leave some for when you actually change trend, right? So you have taken out the last lower high. So this is when you start paying attention to coins like this, and actually if you want to pick some up, now you do so. ENA, another one where you have a completed bat and a shark, right? You've taken out the last lower high. Currently SFPing at the lower high. So, if you go back down towards, let's say, this general area, this is where I start adding some, right? And if you get below the shark 886, just cut it. Very, very simple, right? Let's say you get back below this zone here. You start closing below this, just get rid of it. Because you might be able to just re-add back at 20 cents or something. But that's ENA. Tara, another one that has a completed bat, 886 and a 2.618 in this area. If I go on to weekly, it'll be easier for you guys to see. Right here, completed M shape, right? Pretty much perfect ratios. You've not taken out your last lower high, obviously, right? That's obvious. Your last lower high is right over here. So if you go down and you start, like doing something like this, right? For example, there's a gap here. Let's say you go and you enter this gap on the weekly, right? This is where I'd start thinking about trying to have some ENA in my Tara in my port. Right, and then again, 20, 40, 40. I know I keep saying it just to drive that home, right? Zeta, another one that has a 886. This is a bat, right? Zeta does have a bat in it. You are currently attempting to take out the last lower high. Again, any sort of pullbacks towards, let me go on to the daily for this, towards this area here would be a bid for Zeta, in my opinion. And then when you flip that level there, right, that we've marked down, when we go and flip this finally, that is when you would size up again. That might final 40%. ZRX. And then we'll go over some of the community coins like VRA and Tau and what else you guys asked for, Aave. 886, right, macro 886 here on Tau. Not Tau, sorry, it's on ZRX, right? And where have all the lines disappeared? So basically your 886 and your 2.618 is going to line up somewhere in this zone, right? So this right here, let me go to settings first. This is this one. This is your BAT 0.886. But more than just the 0.886 of the BAT, we also have the 2.618 of the BAT just above, right here. Always goes to 2.619. There we go. Settings, coordinates, it's this one right here. Take this, put it down, go to settings, this text, this is your BAT 2.618. So what we're saying is the zone enclosed between these two, okay, is a PRZ, right? So if you wanted to enter some ZRX, is honestly, you could literally CMP enter right now, leave some for DCA, right? Again, whatever ratio you want with, and your final entry is going to be when you take out the lower high. Technically, you've taken out a lower high yet, but for example, when you take out this more obvious lower high, you could size some up there, right? But you could literally go right now and CMP ZRX if you wanted to. Swing mindset, you're giving yourself room to DCA through here, right? But if you start closing below this, you're not interested, right? You can just cut. And last edition for when you get that flip there. But ZRX, look, another one, historical areas, right? It's not just random levels. The PRZ lines up with support from 2018, right? Resistance, support, resistance, 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 support, 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 resistance, support, resistance, right? Resistance, 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 support, support, resistance, and now support again. Key area, right? ZRX. Sand, another one where you have a macro 886 for the BAT, right, all the way above you, which for me would be a target. And then at these lows, what you've got is you've got a completed shock for now, right? You have a 2.236 and a 1.145. That is a shock. That is a completed shock. And if you take a look at where this is basing, right, take a look at where this is basing. This right here is a weekly bullish order block, right? You've taken the weekly bullish order block. So you could CMP entry sand, right? You could give yourself a DCA within this bullish order block, the top, the mid, and the bottom. If you lose this bullish order block, just cut it, right? And again, you're not going to layer your DCAs, or rather, you're not going to limit your DCAs. You can if you want. If you limit, go in with reduced size so that you actually get to add more on price action confirmation. Because if you limit your entire DCAs, what happens if you just get a fat capitulation nuke that reverses straight away, right? You're just going to get stopped for no reason, which is why I never limit fully. But sand is another one. You could enter CMP, right? Again, let's say 20%, 40% for when you, when you dip to these areas, right? And the last remaining is for when you flip. If you don't dip, you enter CMP, you don't dip really, and then you go and flip this, you can add your, you can just enter like whatever you did in DCA with out of your 40% allocation, right? From here, you can just add that onto your trend flip allocation, right? So you just have a bigger back to DCA with on the way up. Either way, you're fully positioning yourself, right? But you're doing so in a way where you're not going to be strapped for cash over the longer period of time. So Sandy's another one that looks amazing. Gala, Sandy's gaming tokens, like many of these, at good areas, right? ICX, another one. Like look at this, 1.618 on the extension, right? Just above a 1.618 on this extension here, and a 1.001. This is this is a macro shark on an ICX icon, right? Take a look. Lows have been raided. Exact same thing we saw Sushi do, we saw Woo do, right? Lows have been raided. There's no reason for you to be sat there expecting lower now on ICX, right? You could open up a swing long on ICX right now. So easy to manage. DCA, if you go back towards 1.06 again, if you get below that level and you close below that level, just cut it. Very, very simple, right? Hardly any risk to you, but the rewards are enormous, right? The rewards are very, very big. Should this, even if you go just back towards the 87886 around 45 cents, right? Even if you do just that from here, that is like a 240% pump, right? So this one definitely want to watch for ICX, right? Definitely want to watch for. You went to a liquidity pocket, you fill the liquidity pocket. This looks so good, right? This looks really, really good. If I turn this off once, 3 month, yeah, where are we? Look at this. This is a 3-month order block, right? You're literally at your higher time frame liquidity pocket at a key area. You're not expecting, one day to wake up and to go up, be up 200%. This could take some time, but once it starts going, look what happens. It's gonna go. Okay, it's gonna go. And once you get those, it's too late to look for entries here, right? The risk to reward is not worth it, but it is down here. So ICX, another great one. Absolutely great one. Very, very easy. Literally, let me visualize this for you, okay? Even if you were to CMP, easy to know where you're going to DCA, right? Obviously, the lower half of this box. If you start closing below 1.063, and again, if you start not wicking, but closing below that, you can cut. Versus, look, I'm going to go super, super conservative, okay? I'm going to go super conservative. For this B point here, the one I've selected anyway, right? I'm going to draw a zone. I'm just going to draw a zone because there's obviously a lot of resistance in this area. Just like that. I'm going to go super conservative here, okay? Even if you take this to be a final target, this pump, the risk to reward here is, let's say 22.47, something like that. 751% total upside. Even if you go over here, 6.81 RR trade worth it, right? 227% pump from here. See what I mean? There's still many coins, guys, that haven't really pumped, okay? So don't lose hope thinking, oh, I missed everything. Just be on point. You've got to be focused. But look, this is another one. Miria, AB equals CD, okay? Just like with rats, you've done it. You've hit your 2-month order block. Look here, this is a 2-month order block. You're reacting off it. So now what we're saying is, look, if you wanted to enter a CMP, you definitely can, right? Well, first DCA would be at the AB equals CD, and second DCA or do, right, would be somewhere around this mid of this zone, right? Layer in. You have 40% to work with. Remember, you don't have to DCA the entire 40% at once. Okay, 20% CMP, 40% for DCAs at these key areas, right? If buyers step in, if buyers don't step in, don't DCA. Let's say you slice through, close below, and there's no point DCAing there, right? Just hold. If you then reclaim, that's when you DCA. Otherwise, you might go lower. Let's say you slice through this and you go here, and you close below again. You don't DCA. If you don't DCA there and you go lower again, you can literally close your position based off just that 20% you entered, right? No DCAs needed. You've hardly risked anything. But if now it's successful, and let's say you go here and you start getting reclaims, that's when you enter some, right? Flip this again, that's when you enter some, until your 40% is done. When you go and take out your last lower high, which I think you've actually done, this one, yeah, you've already done that. So when you then go and put your high low in, that is when you do the last 40%, you're ready, right? AB equals CD. Miria, another one that you can definitely add to your list, right? This is a new token, 2023 came out. This could have legs in the bull run, right? New tokens always run harder. Last but not least, finish on for the Dino token, we have Spell. Okay, Spell. If you see what we have here, we have like this huge box we've been ranging within. You have a completed bat to the said box, an 886, and you're literally hanging around the bat. Very, very easy to manage your risk here. Okay, you give it some DCAs for the lower half of between this bat to the bottom of this zone, right? So basically, this zone is where you'd be DCAing right here. Let me color it a different color for you guys so it makes sense. red. There you go, right? That red box, that is the area where you'll be DCAing between that bat to the range low. Your stop loss, if you lose that area, just cut it, right? If you start closing below here, just get rid of everything. Versus, you know, even as a logical target right there, range highs, 5.32 RR trade, 226% pump. You could literally just go here, rate that, go back down. Who knows? But so those are the coins I've not been over yet, right? So these are new. These aren't in the old video I posted, and they aren't in my channels on my Twitter either, right? So this is the video they're going to be in. And a few more is if you go onto memes, right? One or two more, and we'll go over your guys' requests. So 1 second. Go to memes. We've got two. First, ladies. We have a 0.886 on ladies, right? This is a macro bat on ladies, 0.5, 0.886, right? 2.4 basically. This is a bat. For me, what I'll be doing now is, look, it's very easy. If you wanted to have a meme, right? You wanted ladies, a ETH-based meme, enter here. If you get below this 886, right? 65, 65, you start closing below there, just cut. Just cut. Right? Because your thesis for having this goes out the window. Your whole thesis is you have a bat, right? And if you ever reclaim that, just re-enter, right? And you can do that. You can open some CMP, right? DCA down to this area, and your shift in trend is obviously going to be if you go and flip this, right? If you flip that Godly 786 into support, because you did have a Godly at some points here as well. There we go. There's your Godly, right? If I get rid of this one, 59786, right? 618. There's your Godly. If you flip that into support, that's just a sign for you to size up, and you're going to run it up towards here, right? You know how hard these memes can run. Look at this 2-week period here. But this is the first meme I wanted to go over, and the second meme I wanted to cover, right, that I didn't cover in my previous videos, is Myro the dog, okay? Myro has a, firstly, this is, let me just go onto the daily to see over here. This is a shark, right, 1.13. You have the 2.305 and then the 0.879, so basically the 886, sorry, right? You have a macro M shape, you have a shark, and you also have a bat. 886 bat on Myro. You could open this at CMP, okay? On Myro, you have this. Your size up is going to be, your trend shift size up is when you're going to be, you've taken the last lower high, right? You can see that here. The last lower high has been taken. Let me just make sure. Yeah, the last lower high has been taken. So you're just looking for the higher low now, basically, right? Or some sort of compression structure. But you can enter some CMP here, right? DCA down if it gets to the 87886, right? If you get close below the 87886, just start layering out, right? And if you flip this, that's when your last 40% allocation gets added. Myro is another one that could absolutely run again in the future. Okay. So that is all the new coins I wanted to go over today. Okay, so now let me go back to chat and go over some of your requests. So there was Tao from Mecha Brew. So let's look at Tau first. We have TAO USDT. So Tau I have on the Harmonic song completed. Yeah, this one's already moved up, right? Maybe it was a bit too ambitious waiting for this one. So let's take a look at what we can do for Tau now, right? Tau is literally the one that kickstarted the AI rotation again. So, and this is when I look at it and realize I missed like a harmonic or something, isn't it? But let's take a look. So on Tau, well, obviously, I'm not going to tell you to long here, guy. If you're looking for entries here right now, I would definitely not recommend that. On the 12 months, what do we have, right? So we have a seller zone here on the 12 months. Previous month, seller zone, which we've already retested and reclaimed. Okay, so not much use to us right now as we speak. There we go. So that is your first key areas. After that, we have 6 months. On the 6 months, we have this. Previous 6 month, this was our seller zone. Line it up, go on to the weekly, line it up again. There you go. Right, and this one, I'm going to color a different color. I'm going to color it a slightly brighter red. There we go. So for now on Tau, okay, if you get a retest of 524.42 and it's successful, right? Doesn't matter if you wick lower, and you might just wick lower, you might just wick down to this box here. You might just wick down here. Let me just put some levels down. There you go. Blue on the weekly, right? If you get a retest to this zone, I'd wait to see what kind of retest is it, okay? First level to watch for, 524.42. Very, very key area. We can see that, right? And let me actually go to the 4 months and just finish this off properly. On the 4 months, we have this to be our seller zone. 4 months is always yellow. And let me line it up on the weekly. There you go. And 3 months, since we do have the quarterly closes as well, the 3 months takes us to from here to here. There we go. Back to the weekly. Line this up there, and the 3 months I'm going to do purple there. Right, so there's your key areas. You can see we have a 3 month mid and a 6 month mid here, right? A 3 month mid and a 6 month mid up in this area between 522 524. So this is going to be a key area for you to watch, okay? And that's confirmed by, look at the counter body closes and the resistance that this level has been in the past. I would expect, right, if you go here, I wouldn't be surprised if you got a wick towards this area, shake out anyone trying to long here, and then also, visit this pocket here, again, an area where buyers and sellers were both active, a key area. So 524.42 to 459.36, okay? As a broad range, that is the area you are looking to see what kind of reactions you get if you're looking for an entry. Your other choice of action is, do you get the flip of 582.82 or not? Okay, if you get a flip at that level, great. You can enter based on that flip too, but until, for now you're SFPing off the area, right? So there's no point market longing here. I definitely wouldn't open a fresh position here. Now it's going to be based on, okay, can you catch the wick, or can you catch that sort of bottoming structure or the higher low structure that's created before the move out, or can you catch the breakout retest? If this doesn't hold, right, you're probably going to come back towards $300 tab again, right? And if Bitcoin goes back towards 54k, that is very much a possibility. Okay, so but for now, since Bitcoin does not look that bad, let's see what's happening here once again. Okay, yeah, so you're ranging here. Let's see if whether the drawdown continues or not is gonna determine, okay, do you flip these levels or do you hit these areas, right? But for now, the area I'd watch is 524.42 to 459.36. That is the area you're looking for. If you lose 524.42, this 522 level, you're gonna go towards 483, right? This zone. If you lose this, that is when you go towards $395 tau and this sort of structure here, okay? So those are the key levels on tau. No, don't market long anything right now, Mecha Brew. Your sub concludes, brother. Just saw you. But yeah, tau definitely, you can see the strength is very good, right? The monthly candle is insane, speaks volumes. Up 176% last month on tau. So it's a matter of how much of this do they retrace, basically. That's it. If at all. No problem, man. The other one was, one second, Trading Brown asked for VRA. Let's look for VRA. Do I have VRA? Okay, it's going to be in my master list then. Yep, let me just rechart all of this for you. Very old. Delete. Let's take a look. VRA, I mean, ooh, it's at very low risk areas. Let's see, do we have any sort of M shape we can spot here? Let's look for macro first. No, that's already too big. Right, let's just plop it down first and then we'll take it from there. Go off log. You might just, I was going to say you might have a Gali, but you definitely don't have a Gali. Could be a shark or it could be a bat. Hang on. Log again. $87415, $87415. That's the peak. So you basically hit the log 618. That is very, very bullish right here. And on linear, you are pretty much going to be at a 0.94. I can guarantee that. So you've not got any immediate bounces off the 0.5. You've got 382 bounces though. So one could argue that you have low, high, low, lower high, followed by an 886 here, right? If you again go to log, we've got the low, we've got the high. Look at this on the 3-day. Okay. So there's 0.4, 0.358. Obviously we're going to have to go with the 0.4. That is entirely way too deep. 3.387 for the 886. Yeah, no. So there's no valid bats here. Not from here. But if we're talking sharks then, what about firstly this to this? Well, actually, what about firstly this to this? 0.871. Surely not. Yeah, no, that's not a shark. Okay, so take A over here, B over here, C to 1.618, which is right over there. 0.886. Nah, you don't see this is nasty. You don't have any sort of valid M shape being developed here, which I absolutely hate. Could take it from this low to this high to this low to this high to this low. That would be a valid shark. But then again, that 1.618 is way too shallow. Okay, last attempt at finding an M shape. You have this to this, right? And then you have from that up to there. Would that? No. Okay, no. Bond finding an M shape. There's no valid M shape, so no harmonic confluence over here. Next, let's look at it in terms of just key levels, right? 12 months. Here is your seller controlled area. We're going to go range. There you go. That's your area where sellers were in control. I think we can do this actually. There, perfect. Okay, I'm just gonna take it slightly to the right. Till there. Okay, good. Red. We have. Will VRE ever hit this target? God knows. For the area where you bounced from, you have a monthly order block right over here, right? So you filled a very valid liquidity pocket. That's beautiful to see. And last but not least, for local targets now, let's look in terms of fib retracements. We have got higher time frame 0 to 1 log. Let's just go from low to the high. So we know we've hit the 618 on log. That is very bullish. Also on linear, you've had below all log levels. Like this is very, very deep retracement. So this is not needed for now. Where is your, go back over here, your last lower high? Higher time from 0 to 1. High, low. 0.5 on the trend-based extension. And last but not least, let's look at the 6 months. Your 6-month targets are from here to, hang on, from here to here. Number 1, lock that in place, color it red. Number 2 is from here to here. Lock that in place. That's great. There. So to the upside, you've got targets, right, for this, for the move up. Your first target would basically be 109% up, the way I see it. So that's on the 6 months. If you now look at the 4 months, what do we have? On the 4 months, we have the fact that the 4-month buyer zone has been retested as support. Yeah, see that, right? So the week has been regarded as support. You've already broken out. So this zone, if you ever visit again, obviously going to be useful, but for now it's not useful anymore. You're out of it. And last but not least, locally, what you've done is, okay, you have a weekly seller zone here that's treating this as resistance, right? Right over here. You've not taken out your lower high yet, so you've not had a shift in trend yet, technically speaking, because this is still a lower high compared to this one, right? You're losing a 0, and last but not least, what you broke out of is this area here. So at this stage, what we're basically saying is we're saying give a retest of this area, right? If you fall back on VRA into this zone, right? So you have the 3 different levels here for more lower time frame entries, but on the macro, just think of it as a rectangle. A breakout over here, right, with the green candle. So this would be a retest. This would be a really nice retest of the breakout from that monthly order block, right? You go back to the monthly. This is your monthly order block that you broke out from, right? So this, as long as you close above this by the time this month ends, and obviously you're going to be, you know, looking at the weekly, the daily, to see what kind of reactions you're getting. As long as this retest is successful, I think VRA is actually a good shout, because you have a neckline, you have your left shoulder, you have your head, you might just be putting in your right shoulder, and then you might just send it from there. So I'll be looking somewhere around this region for that right shoulder to come in. It could come in, like you could close above the 0. If you close above the 0, that's a successful retest, okay? So that's where you would start entering on. But currently, two targets, 2 different scenarios for you, bro. You either close above 3370 by the time the weekly, the daily, the 3-day, whatever you're looking at closes, right? If you close above this, that's a successful retest of this breakout. If you don't close above this, you might go slightly lower towards this zone, right? And if you lose that zone, then that's when you'd be focusing on, you know, this area here. But, you know, we can talk about that if you ever lost this zone, right? For now, this is where you'd be looking for your retest, right here. On the weekly, this is your seller zone that you broke out of, haven't retested yet, right? So either close above this or you retest this. If the retest is successful, you add. If you close above, you add with room for the DCA down, and your last size up is going to be when you go up and you actually break out, retest that neckline. If that happens, you've got inverted head and shoulder structure, you're going to send it up towards that 0. But those are your levels of interest currently, right? For this local area, you flip that, then your levels of interest come up way high over there. For example, here, 0.00697. But yeah, very interesting price action being developed here for sure. So good recommendation. Like, you know, you have very key areas, very key liquidity pocket. You're trying to put in inverse head and shoulders. It's not over yet. Right shoulders under development. So if that develops properly, then we have a much better idea of where we stand. But yeah, bro, I wouldn't enter yet. But if you close above 3370 on the daily, on the 3-day, whatever you want, or you go down to this zone, that would be my, and a successful retest, that would be my triggers for the entries. Last entry again would be a flip of this. Yes, alright, Trading Brown, okay. Let me go up. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, I would check Aave, but I don't think Niraj is in the stream anymore. I've already done Doge, so that's that. But yeah, guys, so that's a lot of new coins we hadn't gone over before. Okay. Let me go back to focus. So the new coins we went over today are Ladies and Myro for memes, and for completed harmonics, it is IOTX, Lai, Root, Atom, Key, Marvia, Not, Arweave, NMR, DYDX, SNX, Band, SHX, AXL, ENA, Tara, Zeta, ZRX, Sand, ICX, Myria, and Spell. Okay, a lot of new setups here. Many of these still areas where you can manage your risk. So I know this was a bit long-winded, guys. Sorry about that. It's probably got a bit boring, to be honest. Me just rambling on about the same thing over and over and over. But you know, it's that time, right, of the cycle where you got to pay attention, right? Because yeah, this could be a forced breakout for now. We could make one more low, or this could be it. October's going to be real and we're going to go higher, right? Either way, you're going to have to be prepared to catch the move, right? So yeah, well, I appreciate you guys being here anyway, going over this. If you guys have any other questions on any of these, just ping me in crypto chat. No problem. Yeah, this would be on my YouTube. Uh, this will be on my YouTube, bro. But yeah, a lot of new coins, right? And like I said, the reason I've not updated any of these on my channel is like, you know, firstly I was on vacation. Secondly, there's like, there's so much higher these could go. There's no point in me updating right now, right? Especially when all I'm doing is taking tiny little TPs. And just for compounding purposes. Like I'll update them properly once we get the moves we're actually looking for. But that is everything from me for this stream. Let's quickly look at BTC before we finish. Let's see what we are doing. Is the nuke being rescinded? Are we still going lower? Yeah, that's a high volume sell, right? A lot of market shorts here. I wouldn't be surprised if these people got trapped here. But yeah, still. So 61k levels here. What you don't want to do now, guys, is you don't want to do this and start bearishly back testing. Okay, you start doing this, you're gonna get that move down. Okay, that's not what you want to see, locally speaking. That's the SFP for now. See the 2-week mid rejected, but yeah, all in all, still look, we've taken out the last lower high, guys. We're just looking for a higher low. Whether that comes in here, or comes in here, it does not matter. As long as it's a high low, we'll go higher. So nothing to be worried about for the swingers, right? For the scalpers, obviously, keep your wits about you. Don't be caught offside on a nasty nuke. Yeah, there's loads of market orders open in here, bro. That's a huge amount of market sells to come in. That's what. If I open up the BTC one chart, actually, yeah, market short, market short, market short. Creating a new TPO session. You flipped the previous TPO value area low into resistance. Yeah, this doesn't really, we need to reclaim this to go higher, basically. Until you do that, you're gonna stay low now. This is gonna be where sellers are gonna stay active here. Between this value area low of current TPO and previous TPO, this is the area now where sellers are gonna take control if buyers don't just go and murk all that supply at once. But yeah, if you get here, there's some nice scalp shorting opportunities to watch for. But yeah, anyway, thank you very much, guys, for coming in today. And like I said, if you have any questions, ping me in chat. Otherwise, you know, if anyone's interested in in the way I trade, you want to learn my style, you know, I do offer one-on-ones. Just reach out to me if that's ever something that interests you. Otherwise, you know, keep catching me in these streams, on my Twitter, on my channel, and if something crazy happens, I might stream again this week. Otherwise, I'll see you guys probably sometime next week, right? So what I'll do, guys, I'll stop this recording here.